Listen, you're not gonna talk. You're not gonna talk to me.
Wasted
You're not
on
gonna talk to me
fraud
and talk
and
over
non-New
me
York residents
because you don't
getting
want to
paid.
hear what I have to say.
Oh, I'm
So
listening.
why
Go
don't you
ahead.
just keep your mouth shut?
Oh,
because you
is
showed
that-
up.
is that the way to
you
talk?
showed up? You showed up.
Yeah.
And so you voted for this one
I
big
signed
ugly
on
bill,
for this. You can extend it right
a
now.
permanent extension of massive tax breaks for your billionaire donors.
So 90% of
So they can
Americans,
get a permanent extension.
90% of Americans
But
take the
working-class
standard
Americans
deduction.
can't? Is that right?
90% of Americans take the standard deduction,
Is that
right?
right?
If you had your way, the standard deduction would have been cut in half. That
No
would have been a
one-
massive tax increase
no one-
on Americans all across the country.
You're
You support
here,
that?
unfortunately.
You're against
to do
lifting the cap on
bidding
salt?
of your billionaire donors.
The
That's
billionaire
unfortunate.
donors, lifting the
That's
cap on
correct.
salt, we put a income cap in place.
Why are you here right now?
An income
Where the
cap.
re- where the
Well,
rest
didn't
of
you
your
want all
Republican
Republicans
colleagues?
to be here?
Where
I'm
the rest,
here.
where the rest of your
You
Republican
wanted
colleagues?
Republicans to be here. I'm here.
Why are you
And
here?
by the way,
What?
you can
What?
pass an ACA extension right now. Sign
your
on to this
boss-
bill.
did your boss
Sign
Donald
on
Trump-
to the bill.
Is your boss Donald Trump behind you?
HR 5145. Why don't you get on it?
Mike, is your
The party of open borders, transgender for everybody, lawlessness in our streets are shutting down the government in an effort to appease the radical left. These Democrats are coordinating their strategy with outside leftist groups and are demanding nearly $1.5 trillion in spending for an agenda that includes healthcare for illegal aliens and much, much more. Democrats for years have railed against government shutdowns, claiming a shutdown would mean much chaos and pain and needless heartache for the American people. Democrats are out of control, and you know who it hurts?
You, everyday people, and the most vulnerable. seniors, veterans, working families, hungry kids, y'all.
Tell Congress to avoid the Democrat-led government shutdown. The party of open borders.
What's up, everybody? How's it going? How's it going tonight? Tonight. Oh, what's up? How's it going? That's some cool stuff, right? A couple cool little videos I found there. Thought they were real prescient, as they say. Let's see who's here tonight. Wow, got a lot of people already in here talking in the chat. We got first, G.S. Harkman. Sylvia was second. What the F? What's up, buddy? Man, boo, 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 boo. I am Bob is here. Kelly J was here. Hey, look at that. She's early for a change. What do you know? JD, what's up? Nice to see you. Sharon Tyler, how you doing? SB Farmer, great to see you. No Jabski's here too. Daniel Gagax, Colorado Mountain Girl's here. Miss Hacker's here. Rachel Boone is here. Terry's here. WD Daisy's here. Oh man. Steve Hilliard's here. How you doing, everybody? What's going on? Kevin's here. What's up, Kevin? Okay. All right. So what's going on? What's the news? What's the haps? What's the word? So we're going to start. I was going to start with the whole Antifa roundtable thing, but that's going to be the second story. We're going to start with the shutdown, a little bit of shutdown stuff first. So we saw those opening little things, and so then we're going to get to this. Oh, did you hear that? That was Bella there. Hacking. Hey, what's this? Says pressing beard 4K HQ ZKE. Would you like many viewers? Let's make you popular. I'm starting to think there might be some bots on Kick because the same thing keeps coming up. A bunch of people, the same messages. Seems weird. It's just the same things, and it's like broken English. You know, seems odd. This seems a little odd. Little odd for my liking. Just a little odd. Just a little odd. So we got this. It says, just in, President Trump has posted a devastating video exposing Democrats for demanding $1.5 trillion health care for illegals and more in exchange to keep the government open. So we watched that, you know, and then this one was the wait a minute. Oh, this one. What's this thing? All right, never mind. Hold on. This one was the Democrats. This was this one. Hold on. Oh man. This is Democrats still don't know the facts. Democrats shut down. That's the first one we watched, so that was funny. And then the second one was like an ad, and then this is what the Doge has to say about it. Democrats scream lies when sneaking migrant benefits into every spending bill. Their ACA clarifications are deliberate loopholes to expand taxpayer-funded health care. I'm way too large again. There we go. That's better. That's a better. How are we doing? This a better? Is a better. Much better. Okay. Hey, Trumpinator's here. What are you doing? Hey, how's it going? Bella smokes too much. She does. She's a smoker, that Bella. Bella, stop digging. Stop digging. Stop digging. Down. Lay down. Oh, over here trying to dig a hole in the bed. She's trying to get down into Texas or something. I don't know where she's trying to go. So, exactly why Trump's shutdown stance is necessary. Federal law prohibits illegals from Medicaid, but DC word games blur eligibility and funneling cash to NGOs that serve them. The $1.5 trillion Dem package props up these slush funds while gutting Medicare audits. Trump's drawdown forces accountability It protects citizens first, no matter benefits. No more benefits creep for those breaking the law. And then Fox News says, you're holding the American people hostage. Watch Rep. Lawler and Speaker Johnson clash with Democrat Senator Ruben Gallego and Mark Kelly. Yeah. They're going to clash over it.
With all due respect, you voted multiple times to keep the government shut down, okay? The Republican members from Arizona voted to keep the government open. So don't sit here and try to lecture us about whether or not we did our job. We did our job. You did not.
Well, you're not doing your job right now.
Oh, you mean the bill that I'm signed on to extend it? Oh, yeah, cute, right, because you know what? We actually have put forth legislation to do it. You guys just keep pontificating. How about you go down the hall and go vote to open the government up? That would be great.
All right,
here's the clean CR. Go vote to open the government up. Thank you very much.
we're going to have.
By the way,
wait a minute.
If you bring them back, we will have a discussion with them. It's very simple.
You're holding the American people hostage because you want to have a
Yes, you
policy
are.
debate.
Yes, you
We
are,
have
sir.
policy debates here every day.
This policy debate,
There's no possibility that nobody's there. You're
We
talking
have
to
to-
yourself.
Hello,
and this
I'm
guy
here.
We're having the debate
my
all around the-
constituents
around the
and
clock.
yours, I imagine yours are going to be hurt even worse than ours. With these premium increases.
We have a lot of
We have
issues to
to
work
fix
on
it.
together,
When
and the
people-
Republicans
when
are the
people don't have
party.
healthcare,
Wait a minute. Wait just a
people
minute.
The party is going to kill healthcare.
But
No,
by
that's
the
exactly
way,
what's
by the
gonna
way, healthcare premiums since 2010, when Obamacare passed, have risen by over 60%. So what
Who's
you're,
that?
what
So
you're,
you want to cut now? You want to cut now?
You're not upset
We
about
wanna
that?
reform
You
it.
should be upset
Well,
about
then
that.
get the
Yeah. Oh, wait, what about now, though? What about now? Jim has an intelligent and loyal following, except for me. Today's my happy birthday, Steve. Happy birthday. Yeah, Mark Kelly, Mr. I'm an astronaut. And, all he does was take up time and space. It's happy birthday, Steve. Yeah. Hakeem forgot his sombrero. Ole. Important. A top congressional leader just called me to tell me about the ongoing status of the government shutdown debate. The source tells me that something remarkable. They tell me that Democrats are terrified that their radical activist base will turn on them for not resisting Trump enough. Congressional Democrats are planning to use the upcoming No Kings protests on October 18th as a platform to feign resistance to Trump. But behind the scenes, Democrats are breaking. The source tells me Democrats are expected to capitulate immediately after the rally. Bank on it. This is political theater, not leadership. Military, police, and air traffic controllers are going without pay while congressional Democrats LARP as revolutionaries. It's sad. Blast this everywhere and hold them accountable. They're going to have a No Kings thing. Well, 62. Oh, happy birthday, Steve. Happy birthday, Steve. Happy birthday, Steve. The point of this shutdown is not just suffering for suffering's sake, but to make a point. That's an actual quote from a Democrat senator admitting what we all know. They're willing to make Americans suffer just to score political points.
Well, let me tell you what another senator just said yesterday about why this shutdown is going on. He said, quote, this is a Democrat senator yesterday. The point of this shutdown is not just suffering for suffering's sake, but to make a point. So you even have Democrat senators admitting that they're imposing suffering on the American people, but they just want to make a point? My God, millions of lives are at stake. They know they're inflicting suffering on the American people so they can make some kind of point. If you want to have a tantrum, this is not the third grade. This is the lives of American people. Real lives are at stake. Real careers and families. Will they be able to pay their house note come the 15th? That's at stake. The safety of our air traffic control system. So that some senator that wants to have a tantrum can make a point? I think the American people are getting sick of this charade that's going on.
Definitely. They're getting sick of it. The American people are sick of it. Democrats weaponize shutdowns to push their open borders agenda. They're holding federal operations hostage to sneak migrant benefits into budget bills. Their clean funding proposals always include eligibility tweaks, expanding healthcare access for those here illegally. While Americans face delayed services, Democrats prioritize political theater over citizens. The real suffering comes from their refusal to secure the border or cut bureaucratic bloat. Shutdowns expose their priorities. They want to protect the illegals. They want immigration handouts. They don't really care about hardworking taxpayers. Senator Schumer didn't just shut down the government because he's fighting for the American people. He did it because he's nervous as a pregnant nun about the socialist wing of his party not loving him. Wow, this is great.
Are you worried about the pressure that you're getting from your left flank, and is that part of the reason that you've engaged?
No, the bottom line is very simple. We're fighting for the American people. And it's not just one small group of American people that want this. It's across the board. 55% of Trump voters, hardly a flank in our party, want this. That's why we're doing it. We believe that's our job.
Senator, he wants $1.5 trillion added to this for health care. Your reaction?
Well, I listened to the clip of Senator Schumer. His relationship with the truth is very casual. The truth is that this is a political shutdown. Senator Schumer is he's nervous as a pregnant nun about losing his reelection.
Hi, sunshine.
To the socialist wing of his party, led by Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, which is in control. Now, we will eventually come out of this shutdown. Here's how I think it will happen. Chuck, Senator Schumer, is a smart man. He's been around a long time. His first car was a Chariot. Washington is all he's ever known his entire life. He knows he's on shaky ground here in terms of policy. So here's how I think it'll end. Schumer will go to 6 or 8 of his colleagues and say, Democrats, of course, and say, I want you to vote to lift the shutdown. Now, he'll say, I can't vote with you. I've got to appear to be tough. I may even have to criticize you, but wink, wink, nod, nod. I'm trying to make the loon wing of the party love me, but you bail me out here. But he's got to be careful with that because he doesn't want it to look like a mutiny, because then he looks even weaker.
Yeah, he looks even weaker. And Schumer's shutdown isn't about fighting for Americans. It's about appeasing the radical left's demands to funnel taxpayer dollars into reckless policies. They're holding the government hostage to push healthcare subsidies that blur eligibility lines, effectively prioritizing illegal immigrants over citizens. The GOP stopgap bill aimed to reopen services and maintain physical discipline, but Schumer blocked it to protect $1 trillion healthcare slush fund. This isn't governance, a political theater designed to placate socialists and communists, Marxists, and all types of the ists over there. And the bureaucrats are panicking over accountability. The real leadership means cutting waste, not manufacturing crisis to dodge hard choices. Right. Mike Waller confronts House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries in a heated exchange, demanding he sign on to the 1-year Affordable Care Act subsidies bill. Did you get permission from your boss? Why don't you sign right here? You're embarrassing yourself.
1-year extension. Why don't we sign on right now?
Let me ask you a question. Did you get permission from your boss?
Why don't we sign on right now?
Did your boss, Donald
You
Trump?
can easily extend
Did
the
your
ACA right
boss,
now.
Donald Trump,
He's
give
not
you
my
permission?
boss.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not. By the way,
So let me ask you a
why
question.
did you vote to
Let me
shut
ask
the
you a
government
question.
down?
You
Why
know
did
I
you
didn't-
vote to shut
Let me
it down?
ask you a question.
For years, you always
You're
lectured about how we need to
you're
keep the
making
government
you're
open.
making a show of this to
No,
make
it's
yourself
sad.
relevant.
It's sad. You could
It's
easily
an
sign on to
You're
this.
embarrassing
You
yourself
could
right
sign
now.
on to this. The only
You're
embarrassing here
chasing
is
clout.
you.
You're an
You
embarrassment.
could sign on to the bill.
Let me ask you a question.
You have 4 Democrats on here.
Let me ask you a
Why won't you
question.
sign on
Let me ask
to
you a
it?
question.
It's a
Let
clean
me ask you
extension
a
for 1
question.
year.
You voted for the one big
Clean
ugly bill,
extension.
correct?
I voted for a
The
tax cut
largest-
bill that gave
the
the largest
largest
tax
cut-
cut
the
to
largest-
Americans in history,
the
including, by
largest-
the way, the average New Yorker getting a $4,000 tax cut. Are you?
That's right. The average New Yorker got a $4,000 tax cut, which this guy wouldn't even take his hands out of his pockets to help his own people. And Jeffrey starts to malfunction when Mike Lawler calmly explains to him that all of his talking points about the one big beautiful bill are wrong. There's a reason I stopped it there.
It's a clean
Let me
extension
ask you a
for 1
question.
year.
You voted for the one big
Clean
ugly bill,
extension.
correct?
I voted for a
The
tax cut
largest-
bill that gave the
the
largest
largest
tax
cut-
cut
The
to
largest-
Americans in history,
the
including, by
largest-
the way, the average New Yorker getting a $4,000 tax cut. Are you against that?
You're embarrassing
Do you want
yourself
to
right
you want
now.
to cut the standard deduction in
The
half? Is that
largest
what you
cut
wanted
to
to do?
Medicaid in
No, we
American
rooted
history.
out
You voted
waste,
for that.
fraud, and abuse, by the
You
way.
voted
Tom DiNapoli, the
for a
Democratic
permanent-
controller of New York,
Let me ask you a question.
pointed out that $1.2
If
billion
you're gonna- if you're
were
gonna-
wasted.
Listen, you're not gonna
wasted,
talk.
wasted,
You're not gonna talk to
wasted
me. You're not
on
gonna talk to me
fraud
and talk
and
over
non-New
me
York residents
because you don't
getting
want to
paid.
hear what I have to say.
Oh, I'm
So
listening.
why don't
Go
you
ahead.
just keep your mouth shut?
Oh,
because you
is
showed
that-
up.
is that the way to
you
talk?
showed up. You showed up.
Yeah.
And so you voted for this one
I
big
signed
ugly
on
bill.
for this. You can extend it right
a
now.
permanent extension of massive tax breaks for your billionaire donors.
So 90% of
So
Americans.
they can get a permanent extension.
90% of
but
Americans
working
take the
class
standard
Americans
deduction.
can't? Is that right?
90% of Americans take the standard deduction,
Is that right?
If you had your way, the standard deduction would have been cut in half. That
No
would have been a
one-
massive tax increase
one-
on Americans all across the country.
You're
You support
here,
that?
unfortunately.
You're against
to do
lifting the cap on
bidding
salt?
Of your billionaire donors.
The
This is funny. Yeah. He said they forgot this part of the conversation. So this is these other guys. This guy's been going around. Like, I don't know who this Lawler guy is, but
Come here, Mike Lawler from New York. Tell
With
him.
all due respect, you voted multiple times to keep the government shut down, okay? The Republican members from Arizona voted to keep the government open. So don't sit here and try to lecture us about whether or not we did our job. We did our job. You did not. Oh, you mean the bill that I'm signed on to extend it? Oh, yeah, cute, right, because you know what? We actually have put forth legislation to do it. You guys just keep pontificating. How about you go down the floor and go vote to open the government up? That would be great.
All right,
Here's the clean CR. Go vote to open the government up.
This-
Thank you very much.
We're going to have lots
By the
of.
way,
Wait
you know,
wait a minute.
You
Wait a
know,
minute.
if you bring them back, we will have a discussion with them. It's very simple.
You're holding the American people hostage because you want to have a
Yes, you
policy
are.
debate.
Yes, you
We
are.
have policy debates here every day.
This
The House
policy
works on
debate-
that.
There's no
policy debate when nobody's there.
We
You're
have
talking to yourself and this guy here.
We're having the debate
My
all
constituents
around the
and
clock.
yours, I imagine yours are going to be hurt.
my constituents and yours. Yeah. Hakeem Jeffries loses it during an argument and says you can't. You're embarrassing yourself. Blah blah blah. We saw this though. I'm not gonna play this again. This is just the same thing. These people arguing back and forth. All right, and then Nancy Pelosi goes on to CNN and embarrass the entire Democrat Party. She has the left furious after she implodes. Like Nancy Pelosi, I don't know what happened. I think she's got it. I think she's just too old. She just can't do it anymore. Watch what happens here. She can't even get CNN to agree with her.
I understand what you're saying about where the differences are, and they are very big. They are voting yes on what we say here in Washington, a clean CR, a bill to keep the government running for 7 weeks, and Democrats are voting no, and for the reasons you just said. So how are they shutting down the government?
First of all, it isn't a clean CR.
Okay.
So let's not stipulate
what's-
to that. It's
what's
not
not
a clean
clean?
CR.
What do they
It's
have
no
in
use
it?
going into that. The point is,
I understand what you're saying about where.
It isn't a clean CR. What's in it that's not clean? Well, we're not going to stipulate to that. Oh, Jesus. And then this is CNN even more. This is some more. This guy doesn't understand how subsidies work and how when they pass temporary subsidies, this is who the Democrats have. These are their intelligence leaders. This is crazy.
There's clear public support to make healthcare affordable.
100%.
And the failure of the Affordable Care Act, we can call it the ACA to avoid the A word that's in there, but the reality is the subsidies were put in.
I call it Obamacare. I give it the real name that it deserves. The person who actually tried to fix our broken healthcare system that's given millions of people access to quality care.
That is giving that family you were talking about earlier now $25,000.
No, that's why we actually.
premiums.
Let me ask you this question: Who repealed the subsidies? What bill? What
Which subsidy? Are you talking about the current subsidies that are going to expire? Yes, for temporary subsidies.
Who repealed them? Who did not extend them? Who did it?
They just weren't made permanent. They just weren't made permanent. The Biden budget that, by the way, a bunch of Democrats supported. And you talk about Democrats coming back to the table in this case. Democrats don't need to come back to the table. They need to pass the budget they've passed 4 times in the past. Right? That is why the government is shutting down. Right? So they're using this leverage. Right? So the Democrats shut down the government. They hope to use this to try to extend these subsidies, to try to expand other elements. Sure, fair, fine. But let's talk about this for what it is. Republicans voted against this budget under Biden, and I get why Democrats are now doing it under Trump. But don't call this a Trump shutdown. It's Schumer shutdown.
Well, listen.
It's a Schumer shutdown. There you go. Yeah, and then this happened. House Speaker Mike Johnson rejects a standalone bill to pay U.S. troop. Adds Feds should get back pay as the shutdown drags on. So, which I don't know. I mean, I understand why he's saying this because he doesn't want to. If they keep passing standalone bills to pay different people different things, kind of defeats the purpose. Like make the Democrats eat it. I guess. I don't know. Mike Johnson rejected voting on a standalone bill to fund U.S. military members' salaries Wednesday as the federal government shutdown entered its second week. Johnson pointed out during a press conference that the 7-week stopgap funding measure passed by the House would have fully funded troops' pay. We already had that vote. Every Republican, at least one Democrat, had the common sense to say, of course we want the government to stay in operation. Of course we want to pay our troops and our air traffic controllers and our border agents, TSA, and everybody else. Rep. Jared Golden was the only member of his party to break ranks and vote for the full funding of the government until November 21st. House Democrats are clamoring to get back here and have another vote because some of them want to get on record saying they're paying the troops. Representative Jen Kiggins proposed legislation guaranteeing service members would not be left short of money if the government shut down any time before the beginning of 2027. The president's made it clear we must pay our troops, whose district includes a sizable military population around the naval station Norfolk. All Republicans should look like Achilles moving forward. Yeah, they should. I'm urging the Speaker and leadership to immediately pass my bill to ensure our service members many of whom live paycheck to paycheck while supporting their families, receive the pay they've earned. They already voted for that, so we're going to do special things now? Yeah. Every lawmaker gets a $5,000 a day fine if they don't pass an actual budget. A CR doesn't count. Okay, sounds good. They made that decision. The House is done. The ball's in the Senate's courts. It does us no good to be here dithering on show votes. President Trump promised over the weekend that troops will receive every last penny they are owed, even if the shutdown drags on. But Johnson had noted on Tuesday that a draft White House Office of Management and Budget memo indicated not all furloughed workers will get back pay at the conclusion of a shutdown, despite the guarantee having been enshrined in a law Trump signed amid a 35-day shutdown that stretched from December 2018 into January 2019. I hope that the furloughed workers receive back pay, of course. We have some extraordinary Americans who serve the federal government. They serve valiantly and they work hard and they serve in these various agencies that do really important work. And on Wednesday, the Speaker was more firm on making federal employees whole. It's always been the case that it's tradition. I think it's a statutory law that federal employees be paid. That's my position. I think they should be. The senators who caucus with Democrats, Fetterman, Catherine Cortez Masto, and independent Angus King have consistently voted to reopen the government since the shutdown began on October 1st. But 44 other Senate Democrats have blocked the bill from clearing the 60-vote filibuster 4 times over that same stretch. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries both whipped their caucuses against the stopgap bill. Well, this might be a good reason. Maybe the Republicans should just go ahead and get rid of the filibuster now. Maybe this is the excuse to say, well, I guess we got to get rid of the filibuster, and now we don't need 60 votes to do anything. Have a nice day, and just start sticking it right down their throats. Yeah. Hey, Cool Frog, what's up? How you doing? Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries claim it didn't extend Affordable Care Act subsidies necessary to keep healthcare premium costs down. Well, it's not keeping healthcare premium costs down. It's just keeping them down for people that get the subsidies. For everyone else that doesn't get the subsidies, their prices are going through the roof. And the reason they're going through the roof is because the government subsidies are allowing the insurance companies to raise rates because the people aren't feeling it. The government's picking up the tab. It's odd, right? Very odd. I mean, that's like the opposite of how insurance is supposed to work. Generally speaking, insurance works. The more people in the pool, the lower everyone's cost is. But for whatever reason, the more people that came into this pool, the prices went through the roof. Weird. It's like backwards. It's like the math doesn't math. Yeah. Newsweek says Mike Johnson rejects bill for U.S. pay as shutdown continues. Yeah, so he's rejecting a call from Congress to hold a separate vote to pay the military, which is That's what they need to do. All right, well, we're going to move on to the next story, everybody. This is the big news of today. All right, big news of the day today. Oh shit! You know what I didn't do? I didn't say. I didn't tell everybody. Hey, Uzelian, how you doing? Nice to see you. Hank, what's up? Didn't say. It's 30 minutes in, and I didn't even say anything about the goal. I hate doing this. Yeah, so for every $75 that comes in across all platforms, I will extend the show by an additional hour past the 2.5 hour show mark. And if any individual donation comes in at $25 or greater, we activate Bellavision immediately. Otherwise, it'll wait until I spoke too soon. Look at this. Bella, Bella, Bella. There is Bella. And thank you so much, Jay Wills, for the Bella. So there you go. So there it goes. Now we're just going to pull this down and then do this. And we're now $50 away from the first additional hour. Thank you very much, Jay Wills. Yeah, follow the money. Follow the money. Let me fix the camera so she's more visible. Better? Better? Better, better. Yeah, it's better. Better, better, better. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, yes, yes. There you go. So what about that's the doggies. I thought it was monkeys at first. So Trump administration launches a multi-agency probe into Antifa funding networks. The Trump administration has initiated an investigation involving the Treasury Department, FBI, White House, Homeland Security Task Force, and intelligence agencies to trace the financial backers of Antifa following President Trump's September 22nd executive order designating the group as a terrorist organization. The White House press secretary Karen Leavitt announced the effort on October 6th, highlighting Scott Bessent's role in tracking potential dark money networks and fake charities. And then President Trump hosted a White House roundtable today, October 8th, with journalists who have experienced Antifa violence to discuss strategies for dismantling the group's operations. That is the big story. One of the big stories. I shouldn't say the big story, but one of the big stories of the day. One of the big stories of the day. Okay. Crap. Okay, there we go. All right. So, I said, let's not make any mistake. These individuals do not just want to threaten our law enforcement officers, threaten our journalists and citizens of this country. They want to kill them.
Let's not make any mistake. These individuals do not just want to threaten our law enforcement officers, threaten our journalists, and the citizens of this country. They want to kill them. Their agenda is to destroy the American people and our way of life, and this president is standing in their way. He is stopping them from bringing their death and their destruction to the individual citizens in this country that just want to raise their kids and their grandkids in peace and in safety. Let's not make any mistake.
Let's not make any mistake. We got an update here. Oh, we got an update here. President Trump participated in a roundtable on Antifa today at 3 p.m. in the White House, trying to dismantle the funding network. Get your man. This is them, right? And Karen Leavitt reveals that Scott Bessent is now involved in uncovering huge funders behind Antifa and left-wing violence. But Hank is leaving already? Oh, that's terrible.
The financial backing of these groups, particularly Antifa, is certainly something the administration is looking into aggressively. And the federal government has never really been mobilized or tasked with doing that. So we're kind of kickstarting that into gear. The FBI is working on it alongside the White House's Homeland Security Task Force. We have our intelligence community looking into this as well. And even the Secretary of Treasury is involved with these matters since they are financial in nature. And we will continue to get to the bottom of who is funding these organizations in this organized anarchy against our country and our government. It's a question the American people have been begging the answer for many years, and we're committed to uncovering it. And when we do, I'm sure you'll be one of the first people to know. The financial backing of these groups.
Yeah, from Frontlines. Watch as this show outlines how Antifa and the homeless industrial complex are working hand in hand during a roundtable event with President Trump and members of his cabinet.
Mr. President, thank you again.
Thank you.
My name is Jonathan Cho. I am an investigative reporter for Frontlines Turning Point USA. I'm also a senior fellow at Discovery Institute in Seattle. And I cover far-left extremism as well as the homeless drug crisis in America. And I find it oftentimes those worlds intersect. And hot off the presses, what I wanted to bring to your attention today is a report from a Capital Research Center here in D.C. in conjunction with Discovery Institute. They just put out this study right now, and what it shows is that Antifa is heavily embedded in the homeless and housing nonprofit sector. In many cases, the homeless industrial complex is running cover for Antifa. Antifa is benefiting from American tax dollars, and they're essentially being used as the muscle. Let me give you an example. There's a group called Stop the Sweeps in many U.S. cities right now. They get in front of encampment sweeps. What they're doing quietly is they're bringing in Antifa militants to manufacture a crisis to make the police look bad. Another group right now that is behind Antifa and working with Antifa very closely, based on the research that we have right now that we're going to give to you and your team, are the Democratic Socialists of America, also known as DSA. Again, these far-left progressive groups tend to be
DSA,
aligning
baby.
themselves with
DSA
Antifa.
going down.
So finally, in closing, what I wanted to thank you again, Mr. President, is that a few months ago, earlier this year, you put out an executive order on homelessness and the drug addiction crisis in America, and that's sent the entire homeless industrial complex on the run. You have absolutely moved the needle and changed the game. But what's also come out, again, is that there is a connection, a deeply embedded connection with the homeless housing nonprofit game in America, connected to Antifa and the far-left activists. And finally, I just wanted to say that all of our resources at Turning Point USA and Discovery Institute are at your disposal, and we will continue, again, to carry on the legacy of Charlie Kirk. He would have wanted us to pursue and chase the story.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Riot trucks and fire hoses, PR. You think it's just a PR stunt? This is actually, I mean, I don't know how much of this stuff Trump knows. You know? Oh, hey, what's up, Gilly? How you doing? It says, hey, Jim, I've been away for a while. Good to be back. Well, it's good to have you back. I am so glad to see you. So happy to see you. Section 8, yeah, a ton of money for Section 8. I mean, Trump is probably hearing a lot of this stuff for the first time. He's got, think of how busy he is and all the stuff he's involved in. He probably doesn't realize all what's going on, really. By him hearing it and having this happen with the people there, maybe something will happen. Well, let's hope, man. Donald Trump has just confirmed during the roundtable on Antifa that they are paid and organized. Trump says he will be releasing the evidence to prove it to the public. These are agitators, anarchists, and they're paid. You'll find out. You'll be finding out very soon. They are paid anarchists. Trump and Antifa and Chicago anarchists have surveilled at least 4 local ICE facilities and posted diagrams of the buildings online, meaning nothing but bad, accompanied by photos of specific ICE agents that they're targeting. Oh, so is he going to say all this? Maybe I'll just listen to it then. 2 weeks ago. Oh, we're going to listen to this. This is like a nice long speech from Trump. Why hear me speak when you can hear Trump?
It should be clear to all Americans that we have a very serious left-wing terror threat in our country. Radicals associated with the domestic terror group Antifa that you've heard a lot about lately, and I've heard a lot about them for 10 years. And other far-left extremists have been carrying out a campaign of violence against ICE agents and other officials charged with enforcing federal law. In Chicago, anarchists have surveilled at least 4 local ICE facilities and posted diagrams of the buildings online, meaning nothing but bad, accompanied by photos of specific ICE agents that they're targeting, one in particular who's a top person and a great person, a great patriot. In July, approximately a dozen Antifa-aligned militants stormed the ICE facility in Texas and then lured officers out of the building before firing dozens of rounds at police. They were crazy, frankly, shooting one Texas officer in the neck. And in Portland, Oregon, Antifa thugs have repeatedly attacked our officers and laid siege to federal property in an attempt to violently stop the execution of federal law. Everything we're doing is very lawful. What they're doing is not lawful. And what the governor and the mayor of, as an example, you could say of Portland, and you can say certainly of Chicago, it's not lawful what they're doing. They have to be very careful. In addition, 2 weeks ago, a radical left terrorist in Dallas conducted a sniper attack on a local ICE facility, killing 2 people and leaving behind a note that read, "Hopefully this will give ICE agents some real terror." That's bad. This attack came the very same month that Charlie Kirk was assassinated by a far-left extremist who inscribed the words, "Hey, fascist, catch," meaning catch the bullet, onto the bullet shelf itself. The epidemic of left-wing violence and Antifa-inspired terror has been escalating for nearly a decade. At universities, Antifa has organized riotous mobs to attack campus speakers. I see it all the time. And these are agitators, anarchists, and they're paid. And you'll find that out. You'll be finding it out very soon.
J-Rock,
you should
how you
see
doing?
what we have on these people. These are bad people. These are people that want to destroy our country. We're not going to let it happen.
That's disgusting.
They've used armed gangs to assault local police in cities nationwide, and they've attacked journalists reporting on their crimes. So the journalists that report on their crimes, don't worry, you're very safe. I hope that's not going to turn you around, but they have been very threatening to people, but we're going to be very threatening to them, far more threatening to them than they ever were with us, and that includes the people that fund them. Probably some of the people I know, some of the people I dine with, but if they do, they're in deep trouble. So we're going to be looking very strongly at the people that are funding these operations. When you see the signs, and they're all made out of a beautiful, beautiful paper, beautiful, nice, stiff, very expensive paper, with beautiful wood handles, all the same color. They come from very expensive printing machines. These are not people that write out their signs in a basement that believe in something. These are paid anarchists. At least 3 of these courageous journalists have personally been victims of Antifa attacks. Andy Ngo has been repeatedly beaten by Antifa thugs for his work in Andy is a very serious person, too, I have to tell you. I've been watching him for a long time. Is Andy here? That's what I thought. Hello, Andy. I thought that was you. You're looking better than you do out on those streets, huh? You look much better. It's nice to have you. You feel a little safer here, I think, maybe. Well, not that safe, because you have them. You have to worry about that. But thank you very much. Andy Ngo has been repeatedly beaten by Antifa, and including one assault that left him with a brain hemorrhage. Only days ago, Nick Sortor was assaulted in Portland by a flag-burning mob, and we've made it 1-year penalty for inciting riots. We took the freedom of speech away because that's been through the courts, and the court said.
All right, I did not like that. I'm going to stop right here to just address this. We took the freedom of speech away. Yeah, Trump, that's not how it works, buddy. I mean, I understand you're trying to do stuff, but, you know, until the Supreme Court rules and says that it's a crime, I mean, it was a 5-4 decision that said it was freedom of speech to burn the American flag. So who knows what would happen today if it goes through the Supreme Court. But, man, that's not a good thing to say. I don't know if you intended to say that, if you meant with that, but, buddy, you did not take away the freedom of speech. It's not up to you. It's our right, granted by God, to prevent the government from fucking with our speech. Government didn't give us the freedom of speech. The government can't take it away from us.
You have freedom of speech, but what has happened is when they burn a flag, it agitates and irritates crowds. They've never seen anything like it on both sides, and you end up with riots. So we're going on that basis. We're looking at it not from the freedom of speech, which I always felt strongly about, but never passed the courts. This is what they do, is they incite, when you burn an American flag, you incite tremendous violence. We have many examples of it, many examples of it, and it's actually down on tape, and you see things happen that just don't happen unless it's the flag that's burning. Very recently, Katie Davis Court was hit in the face with a flagpole in Portland by an Antifa radical, leaving her with a very blackened eye. So, Katie, thank you very much. And I'd like to also say that I watched Nick. Where's Nick? Is Nick here? Nick? Hi, Nick. That was a rough time you went through. I hope you got my little note. I wrote you a note.
Yeah, I really appreciated that. It helped a lot because it was a difficult situation. It was very stressful, and your note helped a lot. I truly appreciate it.
I thought it was terrible, actually. I thought it was terrible. So we'll talk about it a little bit. Under the last administration, the Department of Justice targeted faithful Catholics, Christians, and patriotic parents as domestic extremists. They said, oh, they're extreme because they believe in God. They're extreme because they go to a Catholic church, or evangelicals, where everybody was under the gun. Unless you were a really bad, sick person, then they left you alone. Under the Trump administration, we're going after Antifa criminals, and all who fund and support their campaigns are.
Okay, so yeah, he's going to go after all the anti-Tifas. What was that? All the anti-Tifas and all that stuff. Now, it's one of the big donors. You think so? It's one of the big donors that's pushing it or paying it. Maybe, I don't know, man. Bite the truth, bite it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Must see Brandy Cruz's testimony at the Antifa Roundtable with straight fire. Let's see.
The single most powerful thing you've done to deal with this scourge has been acknowledging that Antifa is a real thing. I genuinely believe there would be people at these tables who would be dead today and would have been killed in Portland had you not called them a terror organization and said we're going to bring the full weight of the federal government to bear. I talked to Katie Davis Court in Portland the other day. She'd been assaulted all summer. And she said the same thing. They didn't seem quick to violence as soon as you made that designation. So they're thinking in their heads, they're worried. There's been 24 or so arrested in Portland. They don't want to go to federal prison. There's this video of them, one of them who was in the face of an ICE agent, and then he's in custody shaking. Once you take the mask off, they're nothing. And I was told by probably a dozen people not to tell you this. I'm going to tell it to you anyway, because it's relevant to what we're talking about. I'm living proof that you can recover from TDS. I had strong Trump derangement syndrome for probably 8 years. This is one of the reasons I recovered from it. And by the way, it's much better to not have TDS. I'm happier, I'm healthier, more successful. I even think I got a little more attractive after I got rid of my Trump derangement syndrome. Yes. You know, I'm a reporter in Seattle, and frankly, I could not care any less what any of you have to say about this meeting. Could not care any less. We're not here for you. I'm not here to convince any of you that Antifa is a real thing. Because if you have not come to that conclusion by now, you are never going to come to that conclusion because you don't want to see it. And you're going to go and you're going to say it's a bunch of right-wing conservative influencers who are here spinning a tale. I was one of you. I was a mainstream reporter in Seattle for 10 years. I was a TV reporter on the streets doing my job, and I was still assaulted by Antifa. So it's not about being conservative. It's about people who go there and show what they're doing. And when I saw, after all those years, that the media wouldn't be honest about what was happening, that Democratic politicians wouldn't be honest about what was happening, I thought, well, gosh, if they're not being honest about that, maybe they're not being honest about President Trump either. And it opened my mind to just looking at things for what they were. And now I find you quite funny, actually. Now it's like I said, I'm much happier about it. But, you know, for me, again, I could not care any less the stories that they go to print. This is what I care about. We have 3.5 years Nothing is guaranteed, although I think if Democrats keep it up, we'll probably have Republican presidents for the next 3 decades. But nothing is guaranteed, and so what I want to see over the next 3.5 years is a full court press to dismantle Antifa once and for all in a meaningful way. I know, Andy, we talked before this about some ideas. That's really what we want to. I don't care what the media says. I don't care what Democrats say. They will never wake up to this fact. So we want the federal government to take as many of these cases as possible, look at the interstate travel between Portland and Seattle when it comes to these people who are committing violent acts, and hopefully in 3.5 years, they will be a shell of their former selves.
Close to
She breaks into days and confused for so long, it's not true.
Bad ones. Most have been named terrorist organizations. There are a couple that we're going to. But I think we've got it pretty well covered. But there are many others. But very specifically, today is Antifa, and it's really bad. And we're going to get it cleaned up.
You know what's worse than Antifa? Antquifa. Breaking, President Trump just opened up the roundtable with a bombshell revelation. They have critical information on them. Oh, wait, did we already watch this? Oh, wait, we saw this already. I don't know. How did I get this twice? So we're not going to watch it again.
Associated with the domestic terror group Antifa that you've heard a lot about lately, and I've heard a lot about it.
Okay, yeah, we already seen that. And then Savannah Hernandez just went off on the police who sit and do nothing when innocent Americans are attacked by Antifa thugs. Yeah, that went over like a lead balloon. It's not a Led Zeppelin. It was supposed to. That went over like a lead balloon. Lead balloon. That's how they got their name. Is they said they were going to do the supergroup, and other people said that's going to go over like a lead balloon, and they go, that's what we'll call it, Led Zeppelin, baby.
Incredible. The only question nobody can answer is why. Why are they doing this? They're like insurrectionists. They're terrible people. But you really wonder why. Why are they doing it? What are they gaining other than they're obviously paid? They're paid a lot of money. Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, if I can answer that question, the reason why they're doing it is because the same media that's sitting in this room with us has declared all of us at this table Nazis and fascists, and they've been doing this for years. This is why Antifa feels emboldened to attack us. Now, almost every single person at this table has been threatened with a steel bat. We've been assaulted, we've been harassed, we've been threatened, and that is in huge part due to the media. So my message right now is for you guys, because 2 years ago, back in 2020, by the way, I was censored for my reporting on Antifa here in Washington, D.C. You were talking about how safe it is now, Mr. President. It wasn't so safe back then. Back in 2020, I watched as a father was being mobbed and surrounded by Antifa members as his terrified, crying children looked on, and the police here did nothing. I watched as a woman had her hair violently ripped out of her skull simply for waving an American flag on the streets of Washington, D.C. And by the way, if you guys try to go and find any of this footage, you won't find any of it because Twitter deleted all of it because our president shared my reporting and they deleted my entire account immediately after. So now, if you want to know what happened in 2020, all you're going to see is the media headlines that said that it was fiery but mostly peaceful. Thanks for that one, CNN. The reality is that it was an extremely violent period of time, and for the last 10 years, Antifa has been wreaking havoc on law-abiding and innocent American citizens, and it needs to end. Now, I'm with Turning Point USA. It's an honor to be here, Mr. President. Thank you guys so much, everybody in the administration, for giving us a seat at the table, because the media has not only been demonizing us for so long, but immediately after the brutal assassination of our founder, Charlie Kirk, our Turning Point USA chapters have seen an uptick in violence across the nation as Antifa chapters that are embedded in our universities go and target them. It's been extremely difficult to report on the ground, and for a long time I was afraid to go to Portland because I knew that the only people who would have my back, like Julio said, were one of my friends on the ground because there is no police force there. I was terrified to go because I knew if I got shot or stabbed, and I have been assaulted, I've been mobbed and robbed in Austin, Texas by Antifa,
seen her in Portland,
that nobody would come to help me.
Like, not personally.
So my plea to the entire administration, especially to the DOJ, is every single radical left-winger who is in front of the ICE facility in Chicago, in New York, in Portland,
what have you not
please
been
make
telling
sure
us,
that you use
Julio?
the full force of the law to come after each and every single one of them, because it is us being soft on left-wing violence that has fomented all of, the terror that we have seen in this country. And it is the left wing getting away time and time again with assaulting law-abiding American citizens that has led us to this place. So truly, to the Americans that I speak to on the ground, they feel completely abandoned by their state and local government. So please step in. You have Americans begging for the National Guard. And to the media over here, please report on the truth. Please do your jobs. I'm an American citizen. Everybody at this table simply views ourselves as American citizens who have an iPhone and the will to actually tell the truth. So please take your job seriously and tell the truth to the American people. And thank you for letting me be here on behalf of Charlie to continue his legacy of cleaning up the country. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
A lot of people there on behalf of
Well, you feel very strongly, I can see.
I'm mad. I got beat up so many times, Mr. President. My friends have gotten beaten up, and I want to cry right now from happiness because we have been completely ignored for so long. For almost 10 years, we've been getting assaulted on the streets. I have watched children cry as their parents have been attacked on the streets. That should not be happening at our nation's capital. So please, again, the DOJ.
Well, I don't know if you heard Gundam Zig. I mean, we're going to get to it in a little bit, not that long, but soon. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals overrode that Karen judge that said Trump couldn't deploy the National Guard to Portland. They're like, what are you talking about? Of course he can, you retard.
Please utilize the full force and go after each and every single one of these people.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
And so I want to focus on what's happening in Portland at the ICE facility. I've been covering this for the past 4 months. This is nothing short of sustained attack on the United States.
I'm an investigative journalist from Seattle. I work for the Post Millennial alongside Andy Ngo and Jack Posobiec. I have been infiltrating Antifa cells in Seattle and Portland for the past decade. I know their inner workings, and Antifa uses extreme political violence to crush the civil rights of their political enemies and believes that violence is justified by any means necessary. But today, I want to focus on what is happening in Portland at the ICE.
It looks to me, if you look at the right, I think something is broken in the right side of her face. She still has the black eye, and it looks like the right something. I bet you she has a fractured cheekbone or something. Something is messed up because I've seen pictures of her. She looks way better in the other pictures I've seen. Yeah. You keep saying it's a mutual aid organization, but they get big money from Reid Hoffman and from the Code Pink dude, Neville Singman, and they're connected with Cuba, and they're connected with, it's an international organization that takes money, and they get money from all around the world. So you keep calling it a mutual aid organization all you want. It's an organization, and it gets funding, and they disperse funding and exchange funding and share funding. So that's called a crime organization everywhere I look.
Facility. I've been covering this for the past 4 months, and this is a call out to corporate media who has completely ignored this story or has falsely reported on it.
Hey,
this is nothing short other than a sustained attack on the United States, which is being supported by Democratic elected officials. The Portland Police Bureau has completely abandoned several blocks outside the ICE facility, giving away their jurisdiction to a terrorist group who has spent the past 4 months harassing, assaulting, and intimidating anyone they perceive to be against their cause. Not only have federal agents been relentlessly assaulted for more than 100 consecutive days, black-clad anarchist militants concealing their identity.
No. Hold on. You're mixing up terror organizations. They're all interconnected. They all talk to each other. There was a huge conglomeration of them at the May Day event this year in Cuba. John Brown Blood Club, the armed queers of whatever, Salt Lake City, Antifa people, Rose City Antifa, all these different groups. They all interconnect and talk together. They're inside. They're connected with BLM. It's all the same people. The money's coming from the same places. It's not like they try to lie and say it's all separate. No, but they all talk. And guess what? They all talk using cell phones, and they think they're encrypted apps. But there's not an encrypted app that our government can't get into. hasn't been a $25 donation for Bella. Yeah, there has. There was a right away. There was a. I can show you right here. See, Bella. Jay Wills gave it $25 for Bella. So she's there. Yeah, there she is. Time to shut it down.
Behind black facial coverings have been assaulting reporters just for trying to cover their crimes. Today, I am sitting here with a black eye and a concussion after being violently hit in the face with a metal pole while reporting outside the ICE facility just this past week. After the attack, I immediately went to three Portland police officers who refused to detain the suspect. I took the time to chase down the suspect in the streets, had her held for 35 minutes. I was waiting for Portland police to come, and they never came.
You tell me that's not how they work. Where do they get all the stuff from? Where do you think it comes from? The same group, the money that goes to Code Pink, the money that goes to BLM, the money that goes to, it's all coming, Democratic Socialists of America, RevCom USA, the Revolutionary Communists of America. Antifa is the foot soldiers of the fucking communists. That's what they are. That's what they've always been. Going back to Italy against Mussolini, it's always been the fucking communists. White House releases names funding Antifa, protests, and violence in America. We paid for our own protests with over $100 million laundered by Democrats. We found a network of NGOs. George Soros' Open Society Network, the Arabella Funding Network, the Tides Network, Neville Singman's Network, this Horschen billionaire donor in Switzerland, and additional foreign cash. It's also big left-wing funders, some of them who are not citizens of this country, Han Jorgenjorg, Rich Switzerland. They're pouring money into this entire ecosystem. We've identified dozens of radical organizations, not just the decentralized Antifa organizations, but dozens of radical organizations that have received more than $100 million from Riot Incorporated investors. I think the most shocking thing we found is that more than $100 million in U.S. taxpayer funding has flowed into these networks.
That this is not just a story about violence and chaos, as you alluded to, Mr. President. This is a money story. And at the Government Accountability Institute, my colleague and I, Peter Schweitzer and our team, we followed the money, and we followed it to the top of what we call the protest industrial complex, Riot Inc. And we found a network of NGOs. It's not just the Soros Network, the Open Society Network, it's other funding networks. The Arabella Funding Network, the Tides Funding Network, Neville Roy Singham and his network, Foreign Cash. And it's also big left-wing funders. Some of them are not citizens of this country. Mr. Hans-Jörg Wyss of Switzerland. They're pouring money into this entire ecosystem. And so I want to share three money facts with you about what we call Riot Inc. Number one, like any corporation, Riot Inc. has many divisions. It doesn't just have the Antifa boots on the ground division. It has PR divisions. It has marketing divisions. It has a very well-funded legal division to get these boots on the ground back on the streets as quickly as possible.
Paying the national lawyers?
But it does have those investors that I mentioned. Number two, we have identified dozens of radical organizations, not just the decentralized Antifa organizations, but dozens of radical organizations that have received more than $100 million from the Riot Inc. investors. These would be the lawyer groups. These would be the groups that advocate for calling good, honest Americans fascists, et cetera. And then three, I think the most shocking thing is that we have found that more than $100 million in U.S. taxpayer funding has flowed into these funding networks, including at least $4 million to these very groups themselves, not just Antifa types, but there was an event in Atlanta called Stop Cop City. Over 60 rioters were charged with domestic terrorism. These groups received money for that from both the billionaire class as well as taxpayer money. So one other thing, this money helps fund the decentralized crowdfunding platforms. These are ways that Antifa, the John Brown Gun Club of Elm Fork, which had links to that attack on the ICE facility, the Socialist Rifle Association, and just because they don't have LLCs or EIN numbers doesn't mean they can't get paid. Some of these funding platforms, crowdfunding platforms, are funded by this network that we call Riot Inc. So again, I want to thank you for your leadership, for the whole cabinet's leadership on this. We're going to keep following the money and appreciate everything you're doing, sir.
Do you know the name of any of the funders? Do you know the names? Because if you do, I'd like you to give them to Cash or Pam.
Absolutely.
Or Christy.
Yeah, we'll do that.
As soon as you can. That's all of you. Because you probably know the names after a certain period of time. You tend to find out. But these are people that do not have good intention for the country, and that's treasonous probably. So if you could, very important, if you could do that, it would be great. Nobody would know better than you. You'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Mm-hmm. And so Antifa's real. It's real. It's a threat. The reason there's such a big problem is because we have Democrats and a lot of people in the mainstream media refusing to acknowledge that they even exist. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing everybody he wasn't real. Kaiser Soze.
Antifa is real. Yeah. It's real. It's a threat. I just saw them last weekend over in Portland while they're causing mayhem over there. And the reason why there's such a big problem is because we have Democrats and a lot of people in the mainstream media refusing to acknowledge that they even exist, right? So how can we as a country begin to address it is when you have large swaths of, these people who are supposedly decision makers and people who are supposed to inform, they don't want to say that it exists. Because the common argument is like, well, they're not a real organization because there's no national leadership, they don't have a national headquarters, so how can law enforcement go after a group that doesn't exist like that? Well, law enforcement goes after criminal groups that organize to rob banks or do smash and grabs. They don't have a registered LLC, they don't have official membership cards, they don't have a business address, but law enforcement still goes after them because they're working as a group. These people don't just show up, randomly at the same time to do the same thing, dressed in a very similar fashion, espousing the same ideology. And they say, well, it's an ideology. It's like, well, yes, it's an ideology because there's people alive, present, that believe in it, and they're acting on it.
They're acting on it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're not denying their existence. They're collaborating with them. Yeah. Yeah, he's got a point. Yes, he does. This is who... we can tell everybody, Julio, that this is actually you. You don't have to hide anymore. This is Julio. Mm-hmm. This is Antifa's real. Antifa's been around in various iterations for almost 100 years. It's now just been under 1 month since we saw a far leftist murder Charlie Kirk. Oh, here we go. Let's see. So this is Antifa is real.
Mr. President, thank you so much for having us here today and holding this roundtable. Antifa is real. Antifa has been around in various iterations for almost 100 years in some instances, going back to the Weimar Republic in Germany.
Before that, though.
It's now been just under 1 month since we saw a far leftist murder Charlie Kirk, and we saw thousands upon thousands of people, other far leftists and people in positions of authority, people like nurses and pilots and doctors and HR departments celebrating the death and the murder of Charlie Kirk. This sickness that's out there is absolutely real. And Mr. President, thank you for mentioning the fact that one of the bullet casings read, "Hey fascist, catch" on it. One of the other bullet casings right next to that had Bella Ciao written on it. Now, Bella Ciao is a song that is known in Antifa circles as the international anthem of Antifa. And all of us around this room that have studied Antifa, we're very familiar with these symbols. And Mr. President, I think the situation is getting worse. When you look at people like Luigi Maggioni in his 20s, Thomas Matthew Crooks, of course, who took a shot at you, sir, the ICE shooter in Dallas, and now this Tyler Robinson, we're starting to see a pattern of more and more murderous violence. And this same violence is not just random. It is targeted assassinations, which are getting worse. And every single one of us in this room that goes out there, and obviously you as well, sir, and all the staff, we are now under that threat every single day. And working there at Turning Point USA, and I've spent just about the last month out there in Phoenix with Erica, with the family, with the team. And I will tell you this, Mr. President, even though going through something like that, which is an absolute nightmare, and people say, what was it like to speak in front of all those people? It was horrible. Every second of it was horrible. But we're not going to quit. And Turning Point USA is continuing the tour that Charlie was on. We had 6,000 people when we went back to Utah. We had 5,000 people last night in Montana, if you can believe that. We are continuing to organize on campus. We are getting more and more people coming out in the face of this threat, knowing what happened to Charlie. But Mr. President, we need to do something about this, because I fear that the next one who could be killed could be sitting at this table right now. And we're not going to stop, but they need to stop, and they will not stop until they are stopped.
They need to stop, but they're not going to stop until we stop them. But they need to, what? I don't know. Your liberal friends told you that Antifa isn't real, said it's just liberal activist white people. Oh, okay. Oh, cool. Ain't no stopping them now. They're on a roll. Holy crap. Cam Higbee, who goes into the public to hold civil debates, scorches the media to their faces. Yes. It's all right wing hibbity jibbity. We know this.
When I leave my house to go to work, I am violently assaulted. I've had guns pulled on me. I've been bear sprayed. I've been beaten down. I've been almost killed. So my question for all of you is, how would you feel if every time you showed up to work, masked militants tried to kill you? Because that's how we feel. That's our lived reality. And you guys go and tell us that we're liars, the riots aren't that bad, right? I've never seen any of you guys on the ground. In fact, I've never seen anybody representing the companies you work for on the ground. You guys come to us for interviews that never get published. Stop saying we're lying. We're not. We risk our lives every day to do the job that you guys are too afraid to do. When I leave my house to go to...
Fantastic. Yeah, where'd it go? Yeah, 200 explosives found on the church steps. They weren't actually found on the church steps, Pat Hacker. There was a guy that was camped out outside St. Matthew's Cathedral waiting for Red Mass. He got caught Saturday. Red Mass happens at the beginning of the new SCOTUS term, and it's attended usually by the Chief Justice and several members of the Supreme Court attend it. It's a thing, and they were going to be there, but they caught the guy ahead of time. He had 200 IEDs waiting to blow up the church, basically, and threatened to blow it up and kill people, and said he wanted to kill everybody. He had this whole manifesto. He set up his tent on the steps. So he wasn't the smartest person, because he should have sent his tent up off to the side, maybe, where they wouldn't have noticed it. But like right in the middle of the steps, they're going to kind of notice that. Yeah. And the judge let that ICE car rammer girl go. Judges are also Antifa commie. Yep. Well, they were. He was camped on the church steps. Yeah, he was camped on the church steps. He was waiting for them. He thought he was going to be able to kill some Supreme Court justices, according to his manifesto. This is Town Hall. It says, Seattle reporter says she used to have TDS, but since seeing the lights, now happier, prettier. Oh, we saw this. We saw her. I'm not going to listen to her again, but we saw her.
Portland the other day, she'd been assaulted all summer. And she said the same thing. They didn't seem quick to violence as soon as you made that designation.
Okay. At the White House today to participate in a roundtable with President Trump. There's Julio. Yeah. Julio did a lot of good reporting in the summer of 2020. Here's his full statement about to Antifa, about to President Trump about Antifa. I don't know if we'll see. We'll listen to some of it. We'll see.
Thank you, Mr. President, for having us here. And not to sound like a broken record, but it needs to be said that Antifa is real. Yeah. It's real. It's a threat. I just saw them last weekend over in Portland while they're causing mayhem over there. And the reason why there's such a big problem is because we have Democrats and a lot of people in the mainstream media refusing to acknowledge that they even exist, right? So how can we as a country begin to address it is we have large swaths of, these people who are supposedly decision makers and people who are supposed to inform, they don't want to say that it exists. Because the common argument is like, well, they're not a real organization because there's no national leadership, they don't have a national headquarters, so how can law enforcement go after a group that doesn't exist like that? Well, law enforcement.
Hold on, I think we saw some of this.
Probably my most exposure to them prior to this year. I've been at the ICE facility at Broadview. I'm originally from the Chicagoland area, unfortunately, but that's where I grew up around. Like I said, I was in Portland. I was covering the riots in Los Angeles as well. And probably one of the most disturbing parts about that is, in addition to Antifa being present, they were tagging the streets with CJNG, which is Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación, which is a cartel. So you have these people who are working basically in concert with other terrorist groups to say that we're here, we're present, and we're gonna attack federal agents and people who are gonna expose what we do. And so, to be clear, political violence, sustained political violence that we're seeing in this country is not a both sides issue. I was, I was at Charlie Kirk's memorial in Glendale recently. Conservative gathering, totally peaceful. It was the most peaceful gathering that I've been at. Every other time that I've been covering violence in the streets, just this year, just this year, it's always been from left-wing people, radical left-wing people. And it's not even just Antifa anymore. The shooting that happened the defensive shooting that happened in the Chicago area, that wasn't someone dressed in black bloc. That was just somebody that had taken upon themselves to go out and try to interfere and ram federal vehicles. So people are becoming more and more radicalized, and it was to be expected, unfortunately. And the reason why we're in this position today is because after I was done covering the riots, I was at the border from the San Diego sector all the way down to the Rio Grande Valley sector, covering the border crisis.
Hey, what's up, Louis? How you doing?
Month. And we all knew the solution to that. We all knew why it was happening. It's because, well, it's racist to have a border. It's like, well, actually, it's not, but okay. And so it required you to come back into office and to fix the problem, but it's no longer just a border issue. It's a nationwide issue, and that's one of the reasons why you got elected back into office, because thankfully the American people said we're not going to deal with it anymore. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people, as we've seen, who are willing to take to the streets to do violence. And that's a scary thing, because typically when I was in 2020, I was covering Minneapolis, Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle. I was over in Chaz, and that was to be expected. But now, because the issue of immigration, illegal immigration, is so widespread, riots can happen anywhere. Attacks can happen anywhere. So that's why it was weird kind of going back to my home state to cover this violence. I mean, just after the Dallas shooting, they were chanting outside Broadview, shoot ICE, shoot those, efforts, shoot those efforts. So I'll just leave that. Thank you so much again for having this. This is very dangerous. We don't work for companies that have billions of dollars. We're running and gunning often on our own. We became friends. A lot of us are friends because we would see each other all the time, and we became friends because we wanted to have someone watch our back while we're out there. Because like I said, we're just out there. And but we'll continue to do it because it's an important topic. It's an important issue. The American people deserve to know what's happening in these cases.
Yep, the American people deserve to know. Okay. Video journalist Nick Shirley, a member of Antifa, said he would smoke me. Next thing he knew, a sniper had lasers on his chest. Oh, wow, this is cool. Does anyone know about this? It says cheap viewers on streambo.com remove the space. Man, okay, I'm going to get right on that. Thank you for letting me know, Peacekeeping Direction QJ, whatever your name is.
Chased out by a member of Antifa who said he would smoke me. And next thing he knew, a DHS sniper had lasers on his chest. If he was not there.
Does anybody else see Savannah Hernandez giving this guy the Google eyes like she wants? She's like, oh, I like this guy. Look at her staring at him.
How they're
God, get in a room, lady.
The reason is because these cities are not enforcing the law.
Look at her staring at him.
These people be worried if the law is not being enforced.
Damn, Savannah, keep it in your pants.
We are not far right, nor are we far wrong. We're just right. And the truth about what's happening here in America with these groups is very dangerous. And I thank you, Mr. President, and your administration as well for acknowledging that. Chased out by a member of
what do you mean? When has showing videos to the public ruined a criminal case? I don't know. I mean, I guess it could happen. Savannah does look great today. She does. She looks really good. But she's staring at him like he's a piece of meat, right? Am I the only one not seeing? Am I making that up? Am I imagining that the way she's staring at him? Yeah, you wouldn't mind her eyes on you. Yeah, but I'm just saying. Keep it in your pants, lady. The Democrats, Socialists of America just got tied into Antifa, and Trump knows that it's true. AOC is going to sweat. Looks like she's trying to appear interested in what he's saying. Yeah. Did we? Wait, hold on. We might have saw, because there's these clips, there's so many different clips, so let's see.
Big change. Really appreciate you.
One question. So why is it there are numerous groups? I mean, Antifa is terrible, but you have other groups that I guess probably are almost as bad or just as bad. Not one other group was mentioned. I'm sort of surprised at that. You just come into contact with Antifa? It seems to be that you mostly come into contact with Antifa. Please.
There's a lot of overlap. And I would say that, for instance, Jonathan brought up the Democratic Socialists of America. They're basically the same thing. I mean, there's a lot of Democratic Socialists of America who are out there in black bloc, hiding their faces. And so I think we use, and I do understand, for the record, I do understand the challenge, as Andy pointed out, with Antifa as a graspable entity. I do. But at the end of the day, when you look at behavior, you prosecute behavior, right? We're not prosecuting ideas or ideology, you're prosecuting behavior. So whether you can prove that this amorphous thing is Antifa or someone has a patch that says Antifa, it doesn't matter. Did they assault someone? Did they assault a federal agent? Were they engaged in rioting? What is it? And so they're always using that, oh, well, they don't call themselves Antifa, even though some of them literally do. It's called Rose City Antifa. How long has it been around in Portland, Andy?
Since 2007.
They call themselves Antifa. In Seattle, I was outside the federal building, and they were yelling, there's no police here, this is Antifa land. And then at the same time, Democrats, like our governor, oh, Antifa is an idea. But yeah, I think Antifa can overlap with a lot of other entities and organizations.
Cool. All right. Well, speaking of that, Code Pink is funded by Communist China and supports terrorists. It was my pleasure to remove these far-left lunatics from today's Senate Intelligence Committee hearing.
Have him removed immediately. We will stop nothing. You will stop your disruption, and you will not be seen by this committee again. The only genocide that has happened since October 7th is the genocide that Hamas perpetrated against the Jewish people. Is there anyone else who'd like to get it off their chest now to save us time? All right.
Patrick Dugan exposes George Soros' funded Philadelphia district attorney and his assistant prosecutors are dismissing cases. Hey, Mango Mussolini, what's up, man? It's awesome seeing you. Yeah, just have security toss him out. Don't have a debate with the guy. 70% of the cases at times in front of me were withdrawn. 79% of carjackings never went to court. 69% of property crimes cases were withdrawn. 700 out of 1,000 cases charged never have a day in court. District Attorney Larry Krasner is funded by George Soros. Yeah, they have a chapter on fascist book called Portland Antifa. All these people should be removed, and George Soros would be charged with racketeering.
That's why these stores are leaving us. That's why you can't keep a store at 52nd Street or Kensington Avenue or Center City, Macy's, Wawa. 70% of the cases at times in front of me were withdrawn. Do you realize that 700 out of 1,000 cases that are charged never really have a day in court? 79% of carjackings don't really get a day in court. This doesn't make sense. Property crimes last year, 69% of them were withdrawn. This is prosecution discretion. The prosecutor's the one who can say it. Those new DAs, one of them was hiding standing on a toilet. One went into his bathroom vomiting because they weren't trained properly. This is not my words. You can go ahead and look this. These are newspaper articles of these new DAs who he went around nationally and grabbed, but they don't know what they're doing.
Oh. Yeah, Julio, what Mama Pillow says, it says Antifa terrorized my town, the businesses my son worked at, and all the high schoolers who were given extra credit by their teachers for going to the riots. That's right. All these colleges give them credits for going to the riots. It's like college credit, like, oh, you went to a riot, you get an A in my class. That's how these idiots are graduating and getting degrees, because they just went and rioted. Yeah, and it is. It's sickening. It's insane. Yeah. The kids ran into the business my son worked at, but the tear gas got in and it was really bad outside the door. Trump, what network would you say is the worst, if I could ask? So let's see. They're going to talk. They're going to shit on the media real quick here.
What network would you say is the worst, if I could ask?
Oh man, yes, a real tight spot.
Honestly, it's a simple question. And it's just...
Well, there's a lot of people in this pool, and I would say I'm not talking about Fox. I'm not talking about Newsmax or any outlet that resembles them. So I'll let you guys put the pieces together on who I'm exactly talking about.
Who would you say? Which network? Would
MSNBC
you say?
for sure.
Oh, they're terrible. I agree. They're
CNN,
terrible.
probably close. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rate it that way. Yeah, MSNBC. That's Brian Roberts.
Yeah.
That he allows that to happen is a disgrace.
Absolutely.
And CNN is second.
Yeah,
I would say CNN is not quite as bad as MS.
MSNBC is not
What
really a
about
news
others?
site anymore.
Oh, MSNBC is sick.
Yeah.
They're sick.
Well,
What network would you say is the worst?
They're sick. They're disgusting. Let's see here. Hold on. I'm going to close some of these tabs. I got way too many tabs open. I don't know if this is another repeat. Savannah Hernandez went off. Savannah Hernandez goes off on the police who sit and do nothing. We might have already seen. I don't know. We'll see if this is something we already heard.
Incredible. The only question nobody can answer is why. Why are they doing this? They're like insurrectionists. They're terrible people. But you really wonder why. Why are they doing it? What are they gaining other than they're obviously paid? They're paid a lot of money. Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, if I can answer that question, the reason why they're doing it is because the same media that's sitting in this room with us.
Yeah, we saw this already. All right, we saw it already. White House releases names of Antifa funding protests. We paid our protesters over $100 million. I saw this already, didn't we? Left-wing task. All right. Did I see it? What is going on?
Story. And at the Government Accountability Institute, my colleague and I, Peter Schweitzer and our team, we followed the money, and we followed it to the top of what we call the protest industry.
Yeah, we saw this. How did I do? What the hell happened? How did I get doubled up here? It must have been two people posting the same thing, two different people. This is messed up. The city of Austin, Texas is passing off a $120,000 fee to taxpayers to hold the anti-Trump No Kings rally. Where's Government Abbott? Yeah. Anyone know who that guy is? He said he works for the Government Accountability Office or something like that, or government. He works with Peter Schweitzer. Peter Schweitzer's the guy who wrote the book Clinton Cash. So Government Accountability Office or something like that, or Council. Yeah, I played that. I knew it was, but I think what happened is when I'm getting tabs and getting links, I'll see one person post something and then I'll see it's a different person and I compare the links and I don't watch the whole. I don't have time to watch every clip as I'm doing it. So I get somehow to get doubled up. So let's see.
Bad from the day they were born, frankly. But these are sick people. Pam, go ahead, please.
Well, they're smart, but they're not smart enough. Oh, my microphone's broken. They're smart, but they're not smart enough. They have been covered by these liberal cities for so many years. And that's why we're all working with Treasury, with all these different departments to find the criminal conspiracy.
Okay. I'm just giving. Yeah, I was just given a note by the Secretary of State saying that we're very close to a deal in the Middle East, and they're going to need me pretty quickly. So I will take a couple of more questions. Bad from the day they were born.
Enrique Tario says, many didn't catch the most important words the president spoke here. I know them well. The president just quoted 18 U.S.C. 2384, seditious conspiracy. This was not a coincidence. Yeah, they're agitators, they're anarchists, and they're all paid. They're paid very well. So we saw all this. We saw that. That was Trump's first thing that he talked about. So we got this story. Trump hosts a roundtable on Antifa at the White House. That's pretty much it. That's all it says. Not very much. There's a video, but we're not going to watch because it's just like going to basically go over the same stuff we talked about. President Trump on Antifa. You'll be finding out very soon. You'll see what we have on these people. So I hope so. I hope so. And we got this. One of the worst reporters you'll see. Trump rips CNN journalist and waves her off. Donald Trump ripped CNN journalists on Wednesday in a news conference. Trump took questions at the roundtable, and then when reporters started asking questions about the ceasefire agreement, Trump said, "But who are you with?" This is CNN speaking, by the way. This is one of the worst reporters you'll ever see. I don't want her to want to even take the question. Trump waved his hand to the next question. Yeah, that's how Trump rolls now. Then Fox, had to do this, behind the scenes of Trump's anticipated Antifa roundtable with cabinet members. Trump will be joined by members of his cabinet. So we already saw this. We're not going to really get into this. We're going to keep going because, we've already been going an hour and a half and we're still on this story. So we got this. This is Nick Sorter calls out Senator Merkley for claiming Antifa violence in Portland is staged and propaganda.
Roundtable. The group has stirred up chaos in Democrat-run cities like Portland, Oregon, but despite the violence that we have seen in that city for months, Oregon Senator Jeff Merkley is claiming it's all staged.
And what happened in Portland a few nights ago, and it's recorded by Oregon Public Broadcasting, was that they staged a fake riot. They marched peaceful protesters 3 blocks and then had a line across the road. They had professional videographers behind them, and then they threw down pepper balls, flashbangs, which sound like gunfire going off, and tear gas. And of course, when you put tear gas, everybody moves, and it looks like you have some kind of a riot going on. Totally fake. This is the first time I know of, at least in my lifetime, that the federal government has faked a riot in order to try to justify, if you will, the Insurrection Act being invoked.
Our next guest will be at that White House roundtable less than a week after he was attacked at an Antifa rally and then arrested by Portland police before having all those charges dropped. Independent journalist Nick Sorter joins us now. Do you want to speak to what Merkley just said? You've spent so many nights out there on the streets. Is this staged? Is this faked?
Yeah, I don't think Senator Merkley has spent a single night out there in Portland. I don't think he's talked to a single resident of the apartment complex next door to the ICE facility. This guy is in his cozy little home, his wealthy estate on the outskirts of the city, and pretending like he's going to be able to speak for the people that are inside, the victims of this, the ones that are scared for their lives to go outside on this block. Because you never know what's going to happen to them. You walk out there, and these people are deranged. It's not a safe place to go, and these residents are victims.
But we do know what happened to you because it was caught on camera. I just want to roll the tape there. You were confronted.
Yeah, you were confronted, and so fake riot, just like January 6th. Yeah, Fedsurrection. You wish Nick had somebody help him out for a suit. Yeah, he needs a better suit, doesn't he? Yeah. It's all staged. The senator should go there at night, definitely. Yeah, Merkley has done several interviews where he's visibly drunk. Yeah, 2 words, term limits. I would say breathalyzer. Anyway. The suit looks cool. I like it, actually. I don't know. It looks all right. Yeah. Let's see, check is awesome. And this person went out and says, thanks, Portland, for putting a target on my back. When Katie Davis Court talks about the corruption within the Portland PD, she's not exaggerating. Tonight proved that a random woman I've never seen before tried to fight me out of nowhere. I walked away thinking it was a lost cause, but she came back again, this time reaching for an object that got caught in her jacket pocket. The police were standing right there for both interactions and did absolutely nothing. They didn't even detain her, didn't question her, didn't arrest her. They just let her walk off. Moments later, a man who assaulted somebody last week appeared right in front of me. I alerted the police immediately. They had a flyer for this guy for over a week, yet they still refused to arrest him even as they watched him walk away. He took off after realizing I had told the officers. Meanwhile, they can arrest conservatives like Tommy Boy on the spot with no hesitation. All of this happened right after the attack on Nick Sorter and just before the attack on Ryan Diamacher, I don't know who that is. And Antifa was present at every single one of these incidents. So I have to ask, were Portland officers told not to intervene or risk losing their jobs? Why are they so quick to go after Republicans and independent journalists, yet look the other way when Antifa or leftists are involved? Is the governor, Portland PD, and Antifa all working together? Why didn't they detain that woman and search her after she reached for that object? Why, while trying to attack me the second time? And why wasn't I assigned a victim's advocate after being targeted multiple times? Something about this feels orchestrated, and Portland PD's inaction makes it worse.
Yeah, 24-hour video. What's good?
I don't really end it.
You already punched somebody. We're gonna stay back.
Yeah, I don't wanna. Of course, you've got a buzz ball. You've got an open container. You're fucked up. That's not.
What's good? I'll lay you the fuck out right here.
I'm sure you will, Methany. I'm sure you will.
What's that?
I'm sure you will, Methany. You got the buzz ball in your hand.
That shit. I'm good.
Act in the booth. I didn't hit back. I didn't do anything. I was like, I got pushed into the booth.
Technically, by journalistic standards, you can go wherever the fuck you want.
If that is what causes.
What's good, bro? Come on. What's good? You don't want.
Okay, why is Methany allowed to do this all the time?
Calm down on the fucking crack, huh?
Don't you arrest her? Calm down. Calm down. Hey. It's called disorderly conduct.
Yeah, no, this is all very orderly, apparently.
Huh. Very interesting that they don't arrest those people, but they arrest other people. Very weird. Yeah, why is she talking like that? That's strange. Is it Seattle protester in Chicago? This is a developmentally challenged individual on Social Security who says fellow protesters have flown him across the country to different states to protest. He told me that he is wearing a carrier with ceramic plates underneath his jacket. What?
What's going on out here?
Right now we're just organizing stuff, getting ready for tomorrow.
What's going on tomorrow?
More of the protesting.
Well, what does the protest entail?
We're trying to get ICE to leave and stuff because they're just starting all kinds of issues.
And so I have a question for you. I know you.
Yeah.
From Seattle. What are you doing in Chicago? How'd you get out here?
Wait, I do recognize you.
Yeah.
I came down here a little bit ago with one of my friends to do more protests in different areas.
All the way from Seattle, huh?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
And we didn't just come here.
Where else did you go?
We were in California for a little bit, New York, and me and my friend did the No Kings Day rally.
How can you guys afford to travel so much?
He has a good job, so yeah.
He flies you out?
Yeah.
Cool. Interesting.
Huh. How's somebody work when they're doing all this stuff? They're on a world tour. Yeah, they're on a world tour doing that. Too many shrooms. Yeah, I don't know. No, I think it's I don't know. Could be too many shrooms, too much acid. Could be like that. Could be. Yes, I hate people who take care of disabled people. Definitely. Yeah. A well-paid protest manager. That's what it sounds like. Yeah. And he should sell concert T-shirts with the cities and dates on the back. Yeah, that would work, right? I guess this System of a Downs, yeah? Job from George Soros. Yeah, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem just met with Portland's mayor and gave him an ultimatum. If your city doesn't clamp down on Antifa militants outside the facility, we will send 4 times the amount of federal agents out there. He's got a good job. They pays lots of money, free travel.
I met with him and also the superintendent of the state police. I told them what we wanted. We wanted more security here at the building, a bigger buffer zone to keep our officers safe. We wanted to have their streets opened up again and not let the anarchists run this city anymore. That we would ask them to continue to back us up.
I haven't sold
like
that
we've been
shit in
asking
years,
for,
man.
instead
It's
of
been a
what
long
they've
time.
been doing the last
Not
several
since
months, which is just
90s.
leaving our officers hang out to dry. The chief asked if I wanted to meet with the mayor, and I said absolutely. Came back and just met with the mayor, and I'm so extremely disappointed. He's continuing to play politics, did not commit to any of those promises, and said that he'd give me an answer by tomorrow. And I'm hopeful that he will. What I told him is that if he did not follow through on some of these security measures for our officers, we were going to cover him up with more federal resources, and that we were going to send 4 times the amount of federal officers here so that the people of Portland could have some safety. They could have some security. Today, Jesse, we went and got a sex offender off the streets here in Portland that had been violating minors, and we're going to bring him to justice. And this Portland mayor tried to brag about him making our streets safer. No, absolutely not. It is our federal CBP and ICE officers that are cleaning up this city, and every single day they're going to stay dedicated to doing that.
So none of these officials thanked you for getting these pedophiles off the street?
They said that they were glad that that was happening, but that they weren't going to change their posture. They're continuing to. Here's the deal, Jesse, is they're more scared of the anarchists that are down on the street right now yelling horrible, horrific threats at our officers than they are of the officers or the people that live in this city. Right next to this building is an apartment building filled with people who deserve to be able to come in and out of their building safely. I asked the mayor, I said, do you get to go home at night and walk from your car into your building and do so safely? Do you get to drive to work and be safe while you do that? I said, those people don't get the opportunity to do that.
Nope, those people don't get that opportunity. They just don't get it. It says, the DHS secretary just pummeled the mayor of Portland. She says he has blood on his hands if someone gets killed. All right, let's see.
The political ramifications of making a big decision to keep his city safe. That's my concern, is that you've got so many people here in Portland playing politics. They don't realize they're up against professional terrorists. Antifa-affiliated individuals are outside this building right now shouting death to my law enforcement officers while the mayor drives home and probably has a fancy dinner tonight and goes to sleep in his cushy bed. It's just not acceptable, and I'm so glad that isn't going to continue to happen in President Trump's America. The political ramifications.
It is. It's sedition. It truly is sedition, what's going on. The stuff that's happening with the in Chicago, what they're saying, what they're doing is sedition. It's yeah, it's insurrection. Nick Shorter said today that when no one called him, she said they were worried about his safety in PPD custody. Shrooms and acid are good in moderation. The military is looking at them for treatments of PTSD and depression and microdoses. Yeah. You know what else they found too that they were working on is MDMA. They think is really good for PTSD. You know, I don't know. I'll have to see. Secretary Noem is right. Portland's leadership prioritizes optics over order. While federal agents face violent threats outside of ICE facilities, local officials enable the chaos by refusing to enforce the law or protect officers. The mayor's indifference mirrors broader state-level failures. Oregon's governor illegally blocked National Guard deployment despite federal authority under 10 U.S.C. 12406, leaving DHS to manage riots alone. This isn't governance, it's dereliction. When leaders abandon their duty, violence escalates and federal personnel pay the price. Noem's blunt truth exposed. I just said Noem's blunt. She smoked a blunt and then she told the truth about recklessness and coddling of anarchists while law enforcement risks their lives. You see what's going on? I'll be quiet. What are you talking about? Careful sending too many resources. Some of those people are not getting paid, and lack of paychecks do affect some of the most loyal. No one's ignoring you. No one is ignoring you. I don't know. I don't know. I can't read every chat, people. I try. I would never get through a show if I read every chat. Police are tearing down the Antifa camp outside the Portland DHS facility, and several tranny Tifas are furious about it.
You guys think we won't grow again? This does nothing. This does nothing.
Nothing. It's a waste of your money.
Look at what you're doing. Do you feel anything?
Everybody's screaming because they're fucking doing an illegal seizure. This stuff was donated by the community. The community here paid money. All the food, all of the medical supplies, all of the PPE, all of the bedding, all of our power banks, everything.
Oh,
and
well.
This is illegal. They gave us no paperwork, no warning. They refused to give us paperwork. So we are going to document every one of you motherfuckers. Every one of you. Pieces of shit.
I thought she was going to say, I'll
Piece
execute every
of
last
shit.
one of you motherfuckers.
That's what y'all are. No, we're not homeless. This is the ICE detention facility from Live, the Music Portland Festival. And these mother effers kicked everybody out yesterday, said, no, we're not going to touch your camp. We're not going to do nothing. They refused to let us in to get any of our things. They refused for us to get medical supplies. They refused all of these things. So they are stealing private property with zero paperwork. They are required to post notices. They are required to give us documentation of what they did, what they took, and where they will take it. This is all legally required.
You got receipts for any of the stuff you bought? Can you prove it's yours? Yeah. I guarantee that if each of them gets put in jail for 20 years, it would stop them. Definitely. A fuzzy, warm moment. Thanks. I know. It doesn't make it a feel-good moment when you get to see something win one for... Lucia says, I'm beginning to have a different mindset about 1930s Germany. Hey, now, let's not go that far. The trains did run on time. Secretary Noem reveals that the governor of Oregon and mayor of Portland are covering up crimes for Antifa. I had a chance to visit with the governor of Oregon, also the mayor, and they're absolutely covering up the terrorism that's hitting their streets.
I was in Portland yesterday and had the chance to visit with the governor of Oregon and also the mayor. They're in town and they are absolutely covering up the terrorism that is hitting their streets. While you talked about some of the stories of our ICE agents, our Border Patrol agents, how they have been attacked, how they have been shot at, injured, the damage that they've done, these leaders in these local cities, along with Pritzker and Johnson, ignore what's going on, or, sir, they're helping Antifa cover it up. We have arrested dozens of individuals that are Antifa members or affiliated with them, and I want to thank our Attorney General for prosecuting them and making sure they never see the light of day again. I was in Portland yesterday.
Coup update. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has temporarily stayed Judge Emmergut's order blocking the federalization of the Oregon National Guard, but the judge's second order prohibiting the deployment of federalized troops to Portland remains in effect. Rogue judges who get to act as multitudinous commanders-in-chief. Judge Breyer of the Fifth Circuit in his dissent in the Alien Hands Act transmogrifies at least a dangerous branch into rogue crusaders to play act as multitudinous commanders-in-chief. Yeah. And it says, appeals court lifts judge's order blocking Trump from mobilizing Oregon National Guard's troops. Look at her. Yeah. Wait, what just happened? You mother son of a bucket. Can't believe that happened. Appeals court lifts the judge's order. A federal appeals court on Wednesday lifted a judge's order blocking Trump from federalizing Oregon National Guard troops. On Saturday, Judge Karen Emmergut, a Trump appointee, blocked President Trump's National Guard deployment to Portland. Amber Gunn issued a TRO and blasted Trump's decision. The TRO expire on October 18th. The judge warned that Trump's justification to deploy troops may send the country into a constitutional crisis. The constitutional crisis would be a fucking tyrannical black robe inferior district court judge deciding that she can overrule the president on military deployments. Hey, the Craig Allen OG has rated the stream. Well, thank you. I do that every show, right? I know I hit the wrong button. It happens. It happens. On Sunday, President Trump called up hundreds of California National Guards to Portland to circumvent the judge's order. He also activated 400 Texas National Guard troops for deployment to Oregon, Illinois, and other states. And late Sunday evening, Judge Aaron held an emergency hearing after Trump circumvented her previous orders. He didn't circumvent shit. He just followed her order. She issued a second TRO and blocked all troop deployment to Oregon. The Ninth Circuit on Wednesday unanimously voted to lift immigrants' temporary restraining order on Trump's mobilization of Oregon's National Guard troops. However, the Ninth Circuit left in place Judge Immigrant's block on troop deployment. Clinton, Trump. President Trump previously authorized troops to Portland, Oregon, and other Democrat cities to protect ICE agents from Antifa terrorists and radical left groups. I'm also authorizing full force. Right on cue, Democrat-run Oregon sued. Arguments on a longer stay are scheduled for Thursday. We got this. This is very interesting. Chicago ICE attacker Miramar Martinez, now represented by elite law firm that defended Harvey Weinstein and the Chinese spy who was granted clemency by Joe Biden's auto pen before he left office. Attorney Christopher Parente, law partner at the prestigious firm Sharonis and Parente, alongside Harvey Weinstein's defense attorney Damon Sharonis, is representing 30-year-old Chicago resident Miramar Martinez, a vocal anti-ICE activist known for doxing ICE agents and rallying protesters to confront federal immigration officers. Martinez was involved in the violent vehicle chase and deliberate ramming of the ICE vehicle in Brighton Park on October 4th. Her co-defendant, Anthony Leon Santos Ruiz, is also indicted on federal charges for forcibly insulting federal officers. Detailed until her detainment hearing, she was ordered to be released by U.S. Magistrate Judge Heather McShane, despite the severity of the violent incident and attempted homicide on federal immigration agents. Another significant case handled by the same firm was USA versus Xi Shuaquin, where the defendant was convicted for spying for China and received an executive clemency from Joe Biden's auto pen, leading to his release and return to China after he spent over 6 years in prison. One can't help but wonder how Miramar Martinez, an anti-ICE protester, can afford the services of such a prestigious and well-connected law firm. This should be investigated more, and it suggests there may be a possible hidden financial backer from within the Democrat Party paying Martinez's elite legal defense after she tried to murder federal Border Patrol agents. After the Democrats are the Democrats secretly bankrolling Miramar Martinez's legal defense? I looked up her house, and she lives in a dump. How did she afford Harvey Weinstein's law firm? Who represented G in his trials? Well, these are these people. Harvey Weinstein, Damon Sharonis, the attorney, to join to talk about Harvey Weinstein's waive conviction. He's vindicated. Chicago attorney for Harvey Weinstein. There's a pardon from Joe Biden. The Democrats are inciting and funding insurrection. Antifa is the militant arm of the Democrat Party. Yeah, you got Harvey Weinstein's elite lawyers. Then you got MSNBC is claiming that the Proud Boys will be militarized when Trump invokes the Insurrection Act. I'll be honest. Yeah, Proud Boys would clean up Antifa in no time.
Senator, you managed to lay out a series of events that have happened just in the last few weeks and months. I want to take us even further back and go to both January 6th and the president's use of presidential pardons for a lot of the folks who participated in what was actually an insurrection on that day, and refer you to Section 332 of the Insurrection Act, which lays out how militias are defined. Whenever the president considers that that unlawful obstructions, combination or assemblages or rebellion against the authority of the United States make it impractical to enforce the laws of the United States in any state by the ordinary course of judicial proceedings, he may call into federal service such of the militia of any state and use such of the armed forces as he considers necessary to enforce those laws or to suppress the rebellion. I ask you to sit through that verbiage in order to ask you if you think that definition of militia is so broad that it may include not only U.S. armed services, but also militias like the Proud Boys and others who showed up on January 6th and have already received a message from this president that any use of force that he condones will be protected.
Yeah, so I certainly am not knowledgeable enough about the interpretation of the Insurrection Act to know the answer to that question. But I think you're pointing out, what is the most important underlying fact here. The president has already made it clear, whether or not he invokes the Insurrection Act, that if you commit violence in his name, you are going to be immunized, you are going to be excused, you're going to be let off the hook. Whereas if you even hint at violence, actually, frankly, if you even just criticize him publicly, that you are going to be met with the full force of the law, illegally, unconstitutionally. And so I think it is really important to anchor ourselves in that reality, that if you commit a violent act and you're doing it to help Donald Trump, you're going to get away with it, which is a signal for more of the right to engage in increased violence. But if you're just criticizing Donald Trump and you come from the left, you might end up in jail. That is tried and true authoritarian tactics. We've seen that at play all over the world.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just criticize him. Yeah. Yeah. That guy criticized Trump with that AR-15 into his ear. He was just criticizing his ear. And the guy that was camped out, by Mar-a-Lago with that rifle, he was just criticizing him as he was shooting at the feds. And yeah. Criticizing, calling for people's death is criticizing. I'm really starting to think some of these people are too stupid to be allowed to be out in public. Like they should probably be locked up somewhere because they're too dumb to be allowed to, have these things. They're completely anchored in their delusions. Biden did it with his goons. Yep, he did. Yeah, Jim tells you, Bella calms you. Yeah. I'm offended by these tactics too. Yeah. It's just all straw man BS. It is. They're losing their mind on the View after Trump threatened to use the Insurrection Act to stop the violent uprisings in Chicago and Portland. From my understanding, what constitutes a militia is whatever the laws of the state say the militia, i.e. Texas by law, being a veteran means you're a member until 70. Yeah. Every state has their own militia laws. But there is the federal militia law, which states that I think it's everyone from the age 15 to 50 is in the militia.
Well, okay, let's start. Let me tell you about this. The Insurrection Act allows the president to nationally deploy the U.S. military or federalized National Guard troops to quell what the president deems an insurrection against the U.S. or combat a crisis that is beyond the scope of civilian law enforcement. The act does not impose martial law. It permits the military to assist civilian authorities but not take their place. Martial law involves temporary military authority over civilian law enforcement. So if any of those folks, and I always say, just crack the Constitution if you want to know what these things are. They're not cracking the Constitution. They're doing all kind of wacky stuff. And people are saying, hey, we don't like it. And state leaders are telling them, do not send troops. Yeah. But he seems to be doing it anyway. I don't know if we've ever been here. I know in my lifetime.
Where in the Constitution does it say you got to check with state leaders? Does it say that in there anywhere, Whoopi? That she's got to check with state leaders? Did Eisenhower check with state leaders when he sent the 101st Airborne to Alabama? Did Kennedy? I don't think so. These people are idiots. Full interview. Nick Sorter just made Tucker have an immediate change of heart on Portland and says that Trump should take control of the city tomorrow. Invoke the Insurrection Act now. We're not going to watch this whole thing. It's 16 minutes long. We're going to watch a little bit of it. I'm going to speed it up, though.
it doesn't feel like America, Tucker, at this point. It feels like, and I know it's a cliche, but it feels like a third world country. I mean, you have police that have been totally infiltrated by a leftist militant group. And, you know, right now you can see police cars behind me.
Arkansas,
These
whatever.
police cars would protect me if somebody were to come up and assault me. That's not how it works in Portland. The Portland police arrested me instead when I got assaulted. It's a different world out there. And not even just around the ICE facility. Like your monologue was spot on here, Tucker. But you go downtown and it looks like it's post-apocalyptic almost. The graffiti everywhere, the vandalism, the boarded up windows. There are no people in downtown Portland. It's quiet as hell. There's nobody walking around. People don't go there for leisure anymore or for vacation. It's because they're afraid, and they should be afraid. The chance of you getting beat up or stuck with a needle or robbed in the street is through the roof because police there aren't actually allowed to be police.
So what happened to you, if you don't mind explaining? You were arrested for being assaulted? Is that a crime? Is it a crime in Portland to be assaulted?
It's a crime in Portland to be a conservative, Tucker. I mean, as weird as that sounds, the video evidence and even the DA has come out and said because the DA refused to go through with the case, so they ended up dismissing all of the charges. The video very clearly shows me telling the person to back away as I'm walking down the sidewalk. And then the Antifa thugs, you know, this stuff is coordinated, right? They come up with an umbrella to try to block other cameras, and as soon as when they do that, they're gonna commit some sort of act of violence, and that's exactly what they did this time. One of their thugs decided to swing on me and hit me in the face before breaking my camera and then throwing me in a hole.
Okay, yeah, we saw that stuff. I'm not going to watch this whole interview because it's like a lot, but then we have this, which was just sent to me by Woodtick Mike, says, just in, countless anti-ICE protesters have now taken over the streets of Chicago. Maybe Chicago could be the next city I visit to expose. This actually looks like downtown Chicago. This looks like Michigan Avenue, right by the lake. Like, this looks like Michigan Avenue, right by Columbus Park. You know, right off of Columbus Avenue and Grant Park. I'm sorry, Grant Park by it's Columbus statue there. Grant Park by the Bean. Well, that's what this looks like. I don't know. So, but it's not. That's not that many people for a march in Chicago, to tell you the truth. I mean, this is maybe. Honestly, this is maybe 400 people, 300 people, if that. This isn't that many people marching. They've been marching there for hours? Okay, good. This used to piss me off to no end when I would be leaving work and they'd be marching like this. Harvey Dillon says that Americans cannot have their cities and police go after journalists and allow criminal gangs to run free. Is it cold in Chicago yet? No, not yet. It's a parade. Yeah, it's not really. It's like 400 people. That's nothing.
Now, after President Trump declared Antifa a terror organization, the Democrats responded by saying that Antifa really doesn't exist. It's just an idea. You know, that begs the question, how is an idea giving people black eyes in Portland, beating people, burning down buildings? Does Antifa meet the legal definition of a terrorist organization?
That's actually in Chicago. That's not anywhere near the ICE facility.
You know, some would say disorganized into cells, but
like
look, I've actually
Michigan
seen
Avenue,
Portland
right by Grant
Antifa
Park.
and several of the criminals who assaulted my good friend Andy No and client, who's there as part of that roundtable today. I can assure you that the injuries inflicted on Andy and other journalists there are very real, and the organization of this entity with like very sophisticated leaders who fly around the country and cause problems all over the country, it is very real. It is very scary, and it poses a direct threat to our national security if left unchecked. So I'm thrilled as an American and proud as a DOJ official to see the leadership of Pam Bondi and the president in ensuring that we're going to use all necessary resources to go after this terror threat in our cities.
And conservatives are thrilled about you, I got to be honest, because I'm talking about conservative influencer and myself, Nick Sortor. He was over the moon after he was arrested, learning that you would be investigating what happened here. While violent Antifa thugs were allowed to get off scot-free, he's arrested. The arrest of Sortor was so flimsy.
It's like
the left-wing
Michigan
DA
Avenue
out
and
there in
Randolph,
Portland
right?
declined to bring charges.
by
Should
the
there be
Bean, right by
consequences, though,
Grant
for a
Park.
rogue police department that appears to be making politically motivated arrests?
Well, there should be, and I will tell you that Mr. Sordor has retained counsel, and I'm sure that there is probably going to be a civil suit forthcoming for the violation of his First Amendment rights. But he's one of many journalists who've been attacked, scapegoated, and had the police stand by and watch. And by the way, not to blame the police are acting under the direction of the political leadership in the city. They're also under a federal consent decree that was issued by the Obama administration a long time ago. It's still active, and that is the basis under which I immediately opened a federal civil rights investigation into what's going on currently on the ground in Portland. We issued a document request that's very detailed. Portland has to comply with it. Portland triggered a mediation that occurred earlier today that was unfruitful. And so now we're going to make sure that Portland complies and gives us the data. And we will make sure that the policing is done appropriately in that city to the maximum extent possible within federal law. And you cannot, as police and as a city, go after journalists while you allow criminal gangs to run free. That is not a thing we can do here in America.
Oh, that's right.
That's why conservatives are so happy that you're doing what you're doing, because
That's right. She's doing it. She's doing it. She's doing it. She's doing it. And this just says Trump again raises the prospect of using the Insurrection Act. Right. And we got this. It says the IRS will furlough half its employees due to the government shutdown. Everyone should cheer, right? Everyone should be cheering. The IRS is going to get rid of half their people. IRS set to furlough 50% of its workforce. Why stop there? Go all the way. Fire them all. Do it. What do you think, IRS? Do it. Do it now. IRS to furlough nearly half its workforce until the government shut down. Over the government shutdown. Boop, 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 boop. Days before extended deadline for filing taxes. Oh well. I guess we don't have to pay taxes, right? No more paying taxes. The IRS furloughing workers during a Democrat shutdown is classic. The Fair Tax Act would abolish this bloated agency entirely, replacing it with a simple tax system. Instead, DC keeps propping up a broken tax code that harasses workers while Democrats sneak benefits for illegal immigrants into spending bills. Shutdowns happen because they prioritize open borders over citizens. Cut the IRS, pass the Fair Tax Act, and watch bureaucracy collapse. Taxpayers win when government stops stealing their paychecks. That's right. That's right. Yeah, we got this. An incompetent mayor, a delusional governor. Chicago's in chaos, and the American people are paying the price. Chicago doesn't need political spin. It needs help. Don't fire them all. I have buddies that work at the IRS.
Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent. We have a governor that refuses to admit he has problems. Everybody knows how bad it is. This open borders nightmare flooded our country with fentanyl and with people that shouldn't be here, some of the worst people on earth, and illicit drugs decimated American communities and left us with the largest law enforcement challenge in our country's history.
Presidents say they have had enough. We need to invite President Trump in. We invite the National Guard in. You know, we've had 254 deaths in 233 days. And for anyone in our community to say people are safe, that is an outright lie.
They need help badly. Chicago desperately needs help. We don't want to lose Chicago. We're going to lose Chicago. We want to save these places. We're going to lose them. We're not going to allow this kind of savagery.
Hey, what's up, Frisky Badger? How you doing?
We're stopping
Hey, Frosty.
One by one.
That's awesome, right? Yeah. We got this from Notice. It says the White House is ramping up threats to jail Democrat leaders. President Trump calls for Pritzker and the Commie Johnson to face charges over the presence of Antifa in their cities. They have to be very careful. Pritzker needs to be arrested. Can I have the honor? That would be great. That'd be great. That would be great. That would be great. At this, Pritzker dares President Trump to arrest him.
I'd rather be called a gnat than a Nazi, Harold. And I brought a poll. I thought you were Jessica, but you're Harold today. And a majority of Americans think Trump is deporting the right types of people. It is funny to watch Trump be a Fox News producer. We wake up in the morning and we look at the news and you see Trump is holding an Antifa roundtable at the White House, and you just say thank you. Thank you, Donald Trump. This is the best. We know all of these reporters that are around this roundtable. Nick Sorter, Davis Court, Andy No. They're like guests on our shows. The mainstream media has probably never heard of any of these people, and this is why this is such great programming. You mentioned the point about JB Back Ribs trying to act tough like Trump.
The governor?
Yeah, we call him JB Back.
JB Back. JB Back. Come on, JB Back. JB Back. JB Back Ribs.
Fight his style of fighting. And when you fought that style, you'd always lose. And that's what Trump does. He gets you into a brawl, and people fight the way they think they're supposed to fight in the brawl, and it looks dumb. And what's he going to do? He's talking all this trash. They're going to send in the Guard. They're going to send in ICE. And what's Ribs going to do? Is he going to tell Chicago police to build a wall around Chicago and not let the Guard in? Because that is a civil war. What's going to happen is he's going to let the Guard in, and he's going to look emasculated. And it is kind of funny to watch Texas. They bring all of these migrants in from Mexico, and they bust them all to Chicago, and they make blue states into border states. Trump wins the election partially because of that. And then Trump says, hey, Abbott, can you go down and then pick up all these illegals and then send them back to Mexico? It's good, and I like it. If I was illegal, I'd be like, come on, can I just stay somewhere?
And then he sends the Texas National Guard to Chicago.
Right. So the thing he's calling him demented now, he's saying Trump has dementia. You can't say Trump is a diabolical Nazi who's overthrowing the government, and then on the next day call him someone with dementia. You can't be a dictator with dementia. You can't suspend an election and then forget you suspended an election. Trump didn't need note cards to know who Hillary Clinton was. And the guy has the longest memory of anybody. He remembers every slight, every name, every statistic. The man is a lot of things. He does not have dementia.
Yes, he loves to eat the chocolate bars. He loves to eat the chocolate bars. At this, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson responds to President Trump's call for his arrest over failing to protect ICE officers, and he immediately injects race into it. Yes. It was absurd. So absurd, even CNN couldn't ignore it. Ready? Commie Johnson.
President Trump this morning called for you, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, to be jailed for, quote, failing to protect ICE officers. What is your response?
Well, first of all, this president is unstable, unhinged, a double-minded individual that, quite frankly, is a threat to our democracy. And it's certainly not the first time that Donald Trump has called for the arresting of a black man unjustly. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay firm as the mayor of this amazing city, which was voted 9 years in a row the best big city in America. And we're going to defend all of Chicago.
Yeah, and to be clear, he's also calling for the governor, J.B. Pritzker, to be jailed as well. President Trump this morning called for you.
Yeah, he has to give the optics of resistance to Trump, but as soon as it's fixed, the Dems will take credit for it. Oh, yeah, they'll say, look, we fixed it. It's great. Isn't it great now? Yes. This says J.B. Pritzker is panicked because he absolutely powerless against Trump and can do nothing to stop him. He's a wannabe dictator. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know if I want to listen to all this, so.
Sober off a governor who has states in the last 24 hours called for you to be imprisoned. Do you believe that he would follow?
Oh, so this is probably right here. This is probably the march that we're seeing, too. This is probably the march. So let's see who it is. Oh, we got the communists. We got the socialists. Yeah, look at them. Oh, solidarity. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All the unions. Yeah, fuck these people. They all get what they deserve now. Criminal legal aliens are my people, harboring obstruction, conspiracy, and serious felonies. If you come for my people, you come through me. That's what this is what he's going to say, right? So his illegal aliens are his people.
You know as well as I do, the President of the United States in the last 24 hours called for you to be imprisoned. I want to give you an opportunity. We've seen your reaction on social media, but I want to hear what you have to say back to the President of the United States.
Lock them up.
Let's start with the idea that this is a convicted felon. I mean, think about that. Who is threatening to jail me. I got to say, this guy's unhinged. He's insecure. He's a wannabe dictator. And there's one thing I really want to say to Donald Trump. If you come for my people, you come through me. So come and get me.
Oh, they gonna come get you, fat man. You're gonna be crying like a bitch. Chicago Mayor, Trump is firing black women across this country. It's always about race with these people.
Trump, if he was serious about safety, he would not have defunded a program of $800 million that was geared towards violence prevention. He cut the ATF budget by 30%. He has defunded our education system. He has defunded our transportation system. He is firing black women across this country. He's defunding our healthcare system. This president is absolutely out of control, and it's incumbent upon all of us. If there was ever a time for working people to unite in this country, now is that time. And the city of Chicago is going to stand firm in protecting humanity and protecting and defending.
Yeah. Maybe someone could ask a question. I don't know. Let's see here. Yeah, maybe someone could ask the question. See, I'll pull it up. I got the stats here. Hold on. I'm getting the stats. I'm getting the stats. Yeah, maybe somebody can explain this to me. If you look at these numbers here that shows the black women that work for the federal government, why is it the housing and urban development 37.6% black women? Why is the education department 36.9%? Why is the State Department 32.8%? I mean, these stats to me say, how are you going to, they're trying to claim he's just firing black women, but he's firing people. And because these organizations have a very huge proportion, wildly out of proportion to their, to them in society, working for them, it's going to look like more of them are being fired, but yeah, it's a good thing tariffs can pay for WIC. Yeah, that's right. Trump said he's got tariff money to pay for WIC. Yeah, math is racist. I'm sorry. Chicago Mayor Brandon Comey Johnson alleges that it would not be legal for ICE to arrest illegal aliens who are sleeping peacefully in their communities. There are no laws prohibiting the arrest of illegal aliens just because they're sleeping.
And what are you going to do?
Well, just this past week, I signed another executive order. We have 3 sweeping executive orders to make sure that the fundamental right to protest is intact. We're making sure that people know their rights, and all of our sister agencies and city departments are working in accordance with the local ordinance. And then now, public property that the city owns, ICE cannot prepare its weapons on school parking lots. ICE cannot prepare to disappear families in the parking lots of libraries. That's not what these public accommodations are for. We literally had a South Side neighborhood under siege with black helicopters, black helicopters, where individuals who were sleeping peacefully in their communities had masked, armed men stick long guns in their faces. This is not the type of America that our ancestors fought hard to create. This is a fundamental attack.
Wait a minute. His ancestors fought hard to create Chicago? Okay. If he says so. 400 Texas National Guard troops are heading to Chicago now. The mayor's smears against the president backfired. Pam Bondi shredded Congress. I'm not discussing White House talks. You shut down the government. Our officers are unpaid protecting you. Yeah. His ancestors. I thought his ancestors were doing something else. They always claim that their ancestors, built the country. Yeah, history is racist too, I guess. Yeah. Oh, here. Oh, wait. Let's see. Here's a black woman's going to explain it all.
400 Texas National Guard are on their way to Chicago right now. I know that Chicago mayor is feeling some type of way. They did the most yesterday trying to smear President Trump. Check out Pam Bondi and how she handled Congress today. She ate them
Consulted
up.
by the White House before they deployed National Guard troops to cities in the United States?
I am not going to discuss any internal conversations with the White House.
You won't even say whether you talked to the White House about this?
I am not going to discuss any internal conversations with the White House with you, Ranking Member.
I noticed that. What's the secret? Why do you want to keep this secret? The American people don't know the rationale behind the deployment of National Guard troops in my state. The word is.
Is anybody here watching this show unaware of the rationale behind deploying the National Guard troops? Does anybody who's been paying attention not know what the rationale is? I'm pretty sure everybody watching this show knows what the rationale is. They've been seeing it. I've been showing it almost every night, the shit that goes on. Yeah, definition of a moron equals Brandon Commie Johnson.
And I think it's been confirmed by the White House they are going to transfer Texas National Guard units to the state of Illinois. What's the rationale for that?
Yeah, Chairman, as you shut down the government, you voted to shut down the government, and you're sitting here, our law enforcement officers aren't being paid. They're out there working to protect you. I wish you loved Chicago as much as you hate President Trump. And currently, the National Guard are on the way to Chicago. If you're not going to protect your citizens, President Trump will.
Yeah, he's paid to know. Nice try. It says, Tom Holman just ended Governor Pritzker and Mayor Johnson's career. Wow. Let's see.
Governor Pritzker should be calling President Trump up and thanking him for taking over 1,000 criminal aliens off the streets of his state. The same President Trump did in Los Angeles, the same he did in Washington, D.C., the same we're doing in other cities. We're there to make this city safer. And you think Governor Pritzker and the Mayor Johnson, their number one responsibility is protection of communities. Remove public safety threats from the public. We're there to do that. And we're not going to stop doing it. They can stand aside and watch us do it.
Not
But we're going to be out there tonight.
doing it.
We're going to be out there
We're on
tomorrow.
the road.
And thank God for Governor Abbott. He's sending troops out there to help protect ICE officers who have over 1,000% increase in attacks. So President Trump's doing the right thing. We're going to continue doing the right thing. We are not stopping what we're doing. Governor Pritzker should be calling President Trump.
The Green Machine is bringing the energy to Chicago.
Hey, we do that one too.
Oh, they're going to play music. I can't play the music. So I hate when they do that.
All that energy.
Yeah, see, okay. Anyway, so we're going to have to cancel that one out. Let's see here. And we got this. The Fraternal Order of Police, who's the world's largest organization of sworn Leos with 373,000 members, issued a no-confidence vote on Chief of Patrol John Hine. Chief Hine violated the code of conduct within law enforcement and needs to be relieved of duty.
And we also learned today the Chicago Fraternal Order of Police has issued a vote of no confidence for the supervisor who allegedly told officers to not respond to a shooting involving federal agents over the weekend. It happened when agents say a woman armed with a weapon rammed into their vehicle. Yesterday, Chicago Police Superintendent Larry Snelling defended Chief of Patrol John Hine, saying there was likely some sort of miscommunication. Bavino says he spoke with Snelling and that he does not expect any issues in the future. And we also
Yeah, we heard the radio calls. We played the radio calls. We saw the dispatch records. They're covering their ass because they know they fucked up. A spokesperson for Hakeem Jeffries is begging President Trump to surge more deportation officers into Chicago. There are other parts of the city on the north side that have a significant number of European immigrants. Deport them all. Surge more agents, Trump. That's right. There's a whole bunch of illegal Russians and other people up there. Get them all.
Michael, do people need to think twice about protesting in this political environment?
This is horrifying. They should do the exact opposite. Now is when we need everyone to come out and protest this horrific travesty that's happening in the streets of America. To give you some perspective, Chicago is one of the most segregated cities in America. And so these areas they're targeting are specifically Hispanic areas. There are other parts of the city on the north side that have a significant number of European immigrants, for instance, that ICE is not at all targeting. They're only targeting heavily Hispanic areas and some black areas. And so this is a horrific travesty, and we need all citizens to come out and protest this in support of their neighbors and of the people that are their churches and at work and that sort of thing.
So I have kind of a two-part question, Jacob.
Oh, no, they can go to the north side and get some of those people too. Chicago's north side, let's clarify, ICE isn't targeting immigrants based on nationality. They're enforcing the law against those here illegally. Trump's surge strategy prioritizes removing violent criminals and cartel affiliates first, not random deportations. The self-deportation app streamlines voluntary exit, saving taxpayers money by avoiding costly detention. You want order? Focus on the 150,000 plus ICE arrests of convicted criminals in 2024 alone. Chicago's sanctuary policies protect felons, not families. Lawful immigrants contribute, lawbreakers drain resources. Prioritize enforcement. That's right, because they're not done. This is phase 1 of Midway Blitz. It's coming. Yes, it's coming. It's coming to a theater near you. Look, this is who Chicago's protecting. Chicago illegal alien, look at this. Chinese illegal alien harbored by Governor Pritzker in Chicago, just indicted for running a human and sex trafficking ring in Ohio. 4 dead in Ohio. And forced sexual servitude and prostitution to J.B. Pritzker's seditious insurrection crimes.
Chicago. Tonight, a man from Chicago is accused of running a human trafficking operation out of a spa in Ohio. The federal charges coming down in May.
Man from Chicago? I'd say man from China that's illegally in the country that was hiding in Chicago.
And yesterday, the 53-year-old is accused of moving women from Illinois to Ohio and forcing them into sex work at the Chinese spa on Delaware Avenue. A grand jury returned the indictment after months of investigation. Tonight, a man from Chicago is accused of...
A man from Chicago. Wild scene out in Illinois. ICE agents arrested 23-year-old Dariana Fadrado, a notorious agitator known for interfering with ICE and CBP operations. This time, she reportedly took things to a dangerous level. Yeah. He's Asian, not black or brown. Nailed it. This time, she reportedly took things to a dangerous level using her vehicle as a weapon. Fadrado is a U.S.-born citizen, has made her allegiance crystal clear, not to the United States, but to Mexico. Because it gets even more outrageous in a jaw-dropping twist, she had called for help, and the mayor of Waukegan, San Conalingus, actually showed up to the scene. Instead of supporting law enforcement, he tried to de-arrest her and even offered to valet park her car. You have a condition warrant. This is the shit these people come up with in their mind. People, they think you need a warrant to stop a vehicle.
You fucking pussy!
Wow, these people, she's all like an expert lawyer telling them that you need a warrant, you don't have authority to stop my car.
What is your name? Mariana Fajardo. Is there a number that we can call? Yeah, 224-629-6506. Oh my God. Can you repeat the number?
Repeat the number.
I don't advise anybody to crank call that number a bunch of times. That would be rude.
What's the number? How old are you?
23. They're illegally arresting me. I did nothing wrong.
You're illegally arresting me. I did nothing wrong.
Over there.
Hey!
Hey! Capitalism is keeping her well fed.
Bring her back. Listen, hey, listen, let me talk to her. No, I'm going to take your car. Sir, I hear you, sir. I hear you, sir. I'm going to take your car someplace. You'll know what he did. Give me a car, all right?
We need you to back up, all right? This is an active
Yeah, I understand that, sir.
So I'm going to ask you
I am going to do that, sir.
He's the mayor.
All right, I'm going to do that. I'm just letting her know it. All right, I'm going to take your car, and you let me know. We'll get it. So just listen. Just do what they say. Just do what they say. All right.
What is Wayne Brady doing there?
Can you get him for you? All right, we'll get. I'll get it. Okay. All right. Let me try to get it. Let me get it. I'm gonna get your keys from him. All right. Just, all right. Are you sure these are the keys? All right. I'm gonna have somebody come and get the car. Just, guys, you're killing my.
They're destroying the city, man.
I know. Right now, ma'am. Hey, get in the car. Tell her to get in the car. Get in the car.
Stay on the sidewalk. Don't answer any questions.
Hey.
Harassing me. Right. It's okay. Don't let.
We got you. That's what they want.
It's okay.
I get it.
I would be fine with them all getting arrested.
Everybody, let him go.
Yeah. Let's tow the car already. I would have towed the car because I would have said it was used as a crime. Hey, Roke Dot, thanks for the $5. I appreciate it. We didn't hit the goal tonight, so that 5 will just take it down to 45 away, but we're actually going to be ending here in a second because, well, we didn't hit the goal and we've already gone. But thank you very much for the 5. Yeah, so that's what's going on in Chicago. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we got this. Illinois State Police puts a petulant protester in her place. Literally tells her she can't come behind certain area close to the Broadview facility or she'll be arrested.
For your safety. And that's all I have to explain. This is for your safety. This is where you can protest. No one's going to bother you here. Continue your protest. Continue talking on your microphone. But if you pass this area and go to the fence, you will be arrested.
Why?
Why?
What am I trespassing? This is public property. How am I trespassing on public property? This is America. That's not private property. There's no trespassing on public property. Your answer wasn't really an answer. So if we go up to the fence, our lives are in danger, apparently.
For your safety. And that's all.
Bulletins from CIS and DHS state 4 Chicago ICE facilities, including Broadview, have been surveilled with detailed layouts, diagrams, and photos posted on the Antifa website with pictures of ICE agents' names and faces. This is the resistance Governor Pritzker wants.
New bulletins from the Center for Internet Security and Department of Homeland Security stating ICE agents and facilities have been targeted by an anarchist website in Chicago. The law enforcement threat assessment from the Center for Internet Security says at least 4 Chicago area ICE facilities, including Broadview, have been surveilled with detailed layouts, diagrams, and photos posted to what is described as an anarchist website. Also found on the website, reviewed by the ABC 7i team, photos of ICE agents, including names, faces, and badge numbers.
There has been an increase in the attempt to gather information online and publish it even on websites publicly available.
A separate Department of Homeland Security Joint Intelligence Bulletin from this month advises ICE facilities and personnel face an increased threat from domestic violent extremists, similar to the 2 shootings at ICE facilities in Texas in September and July.
These are law enforcement operations, and these are law enforcement officers that are doing what they were sworn to do.
ABC 7 police affairs consultant Bill Kushner says the enhanced federal action in Chicago brings enhanced risk to immigration operations.
The more people resist this in a violent fashion, the more violence is going to be used to defend the officers.
That's right. Don't start something, you can't finish it, as they say. Anyway, we went 2.5 hours. I want to thank everybody who was here. Unfortunately, we did not make the goal tonight. So being as how we didn't make the goal, there's a 2.5-hour show. So I enjoyed these shows. It was a lot of fun. I want to thank the people that did donate. It was a good time. I'm going to send you over to Joe because he is streaming. So you can go continue to watch there. And he actually has all these same topics that I have. I sent them to him. So you can go say hi to Joe and tell him what's up. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night, Thursday night. Take care.
Thank you.